They thought it would be hilarious. Set up the struggling single dad with the fat girl from accounting and film her humiliation for office entertainment. Two cruel coworkers hid behind menus with phones recording, waiting for the punchline. But when Liam Porter looked across that cafe table at Emily Warren's trembling hands and tear-filled eyes, he didn't see a joke. He saw a human being. And in that moment, with 5 words that would change everything, he chose kindness over cruelty. Thank you for meeting me. Stay with me until the end of this story, and comment below with your city so I can see how far this journey of hope and redemption travels around the world. The autumn sunlight filtered through the windows of Common Grounds, a cozy cafe nestled in the heart of Maple Ridge, painting everything in shades of amber and gold. It was the kind of Saturday afternoon that smelled like cinnamon and possibility, where couples lingered over lattes and friends laughed over shared pastries. The atmosphere hummed with that easy weekend energy, until it became the stage for something that would expose the worst of humanity before revealing its unexpected best. Liam Porter arrived at 2:47 p.m., 13 minutes early. That was his way, punctual to a fault, a habit forged from years of coordinating daycare pickups, pediatrician appointments, and the chaotic schedule of single fatherhood. At 34, he carried the weight of responsibility and the slight furrow between his brows and the premature silver threading through his dark hair. His jeans were clean but worn, his flannel shirt pressed but fraying slightly at the cuffs. Everything about him spoke of a man doing his best with limited resources and unlimited love. He'd been surprised when his coworker Mason had mentioned that a friend wanted to set him up. "You need to get back out there, man," Mason had said with that too wide smile that should have been Liam's first warning. "You can't hide behind dad duties forever. This girl, she's perfect for you. Sweet, kind, works in accounting. Just show up at Common Ground Saturday at 3. Trust me." Liam had hesitated. Dating felt like a luxury he couldn't afford, emotionally or practically. 4 years had passed since Sarah left, walking out on him and their 2-year-old daughter without a backward glance, leaving only a note about finding herself and not being ready for this life. 4 years of figuring out ponytails and princess band-aids, of being both mother and father, of falling asleep during bedtime stories because exhaustion was his constant companion. But maybe Mason was right. Maybe it was time. Molly was 6 now, starting to ask questions about why she didn't have a mommy like the other kids. Maybe he could find someone who'd see them, really see them, as something other than damaged goods. So here he was, settling into a corner table with a view of the entrance, ordering a black coffee he didn't really want, trying to remember how to be something other than Molly's dad. What Liam didn't see was the table in the far corner, partially obscured by a decorative bookshelf. There, Brent Calloway and Mason's actual partner in cruelty hunched over their phones like conspirators planning a heist. Brent was recording, his phone angled perfectly to capture the table where Liam waited. Mason sat across from him, practically vibrating with anticipation. "This is going to be epic," Brent whispered, his eyes gleaming with malice. "Wait until you see who's walking through that door. Porter's going to lose his mind." Emily from accounting," Mason snickered, keeping his voice low. "Can you imagine? Mr. Struggling Single Dad gets set up with Jumbo from the 3rd floor. I told him she was perfect for him. The look on his face when he sees her, and the look on her face when she realizes it's a setup," Brent added. "God, I wish we could sell tickets to this." They'd spent 2 weeks orchestrating this moment. Mason had befriended Liam at the manufacturing plant where they both worked. Casual conversations by the time clock, sympathetic nods when Liam had to leave early for Molly's school events. Building trust. Meanwhile, Brent had used his girlfriend Rachel, who worked in the same building as Emily, to plant the seeds. "There's this great guy," Rachel had told Emily over lunch 3 days ago, playing her role perfectly. "Single dad, really sweet, could use someone genuine in his life. My boyfriend's friend knows him. Would you be open to a blind date? Nothing serious, just coffee." Emily Warren, 29 and painfully shy, had agreed after much internal debate. Blind dates were terrifying, but she was so lonely, so tired of being invisible, of office whispers that cut deeper than people realized. Maybe this time would be different. She had no idea she was being served up as entertainment. At 2:58 p.m., Emily pushed through the cafe door, and the world seemed to hold its breath. She was plus size, a phrase she'd learned to use instead of all the cruel words others employed, wearing a floral dress she'd agonized over that morning. Was it too much? Too little? Did the colors make her look even larger? She'd changed 4 times, each outfit feeling like armor that wasn't quite strong enough. Her brown hair was curled carefully, makeup applied with a trembling hand. She'd tried so hard to feel beautiful, to believe that maybe someone could see past her body to the person underneath. Her eyes scanned the cafe nervously, landing on Liam at the corner table. He was looking down at his phone, unaware. For just a moment, Emily allowed herself a flutter of hope. He looked kind, with gentle eyes and an honest face. Then she saw the barely suppressed laughter at the corner table, saw the phones pointed in her direction, saw Mason, who worked at the same industrial complex as her building, practically shaking with mirth. The realization hit her like ice water. This was a joke. She was the joke. Emily's face went from hopeful to horrified in the span of a heartbeat. Her hand flew to her mouth, and her eyes filled with tears she absolutely refused to let fall in public. Not again. She'd promised herself after the incident at her cousin's wedding last year, never again would she let them see her cry. She was turning to leave, to run, to escape before the humiliation could fully bloom when Liam looked up. Their eyes met. In the corner, Brent's phone caught everything. The moment of connection, the visible terror on Emily's face, the way Liam's expression shifted from pleasant anticipation to confusion to something else entirely. Because Liam saw it all in that instant. He saw her fear, saw the phones in the corner, saw Mason's face, and suddenly everything clicked into place with sickening clarity. The too eager setup, the insistence on this specific cafe, the trust me. He'd been used. And worse, this woman, this terrified, beautiful woman frozen in the doorway, had been set up for public humiliation. Something fierce and protective surged in Liam's chest, the same feeling he got when someone was unkind to Molly. That Papa Bear instinct that made him step between the cruel world and the people who deserved better. Emily was backing toward the door, her composure cracking. Liam stood up, fast. "Emily?" he called across the cafe, his voice warm and welcoming, projecting enough to ensure everyone heard. "Emily Warren?" She froze, looking like a deer caught in headlights. He smiled, genuinely, not mocking, and moved toward her with easy confidence. When he reached her, he extended his hand and his voice dropped to something softer, meant only for her. "I'm Liam. I'm guessing we're both victims of a really terrible setup here, but would you give me 5 minutes? Just 5 minutes. Please." Emily stared at his outstretched hand like it might bite her. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. You don't have to do this. I know this is a joke. I can just go." "It's not a joke to me," Liam said firmly. His hand remained steady, offered without pressure but without withdrawal. What they did, trying to use both of us for entertainment, that's on them. But what we do next, that's on us. And I'd really like to have coffee with you, if you're willing. A tear escaped down Emily's cheek despite her best efforts. "Why would you want that?" "Because I'm a single dad who got set up by a coworker I thought was becoming a friend," Liam said with brutal honesty. "Because I'm standing here feeling used and angry, and I'm guessing you're feeling something similar. Because those 2 idiots in the corner think we're going to give them a show, and I'd rather disappoint them spectacularly. But mostly," his smile turned gentle, "because you got dressed up, came here with hope, and deserve better than to have that hope crushed by cruelty. So, 5 minutes. What do you say?" Emily's hand trembled as she placed it in his. "Okay, 5 minutes." Liam led her back to his table, not the one he'd been sitting at, but a different one, positioned so their backs were to the corner where Brent and Mason watched in growing confusion. As he pulled out Emily's chair, he made sure his voice carried across the cafe. "Thank you for meeting me," he said clearly, then added with pointed emphasis, "despite the circumstances." As Emily sat, still looking shell-shocked, Liam took his own seat and leaned forward, elbows on the table, his voice dropping to a conversational level. "Here's what I'm thinking," he said. "We have coffee. We have an actual conversation. We treat each other like human beings deserving of respect and dignity. And those 2, he tilted his head almost imperceptibly toward the corner, can learn what decent people look like. You in?" Emily managed a shaky laugh that sounded close to a sob. I don't understand why you're being kind to me. Why wouldn't I be? Liam asked, genuinely confused. Because, Emily gestured vaguely at herself, at her body, unable to articulate years of rejection and judgment. Because that's why they set this up. As a prank. Put the single dad with the fat girl from accounting and watch him squirm. The words were bitter, self-deprecating, and they made Liam's jaw tighten with anger, not at her, but at a world that had taught her to see herself that way. First, he said slowly, carefully, you're not the fat girl from accounting. You're Emily Warren, and I'm guessing you're a hell of a lot more than your job title or your dress size. Second, anyone who'd set up something this cruel isn't worth the energy it takes to be angry at them, though I'm pretty angry anyway. And third, I make it a point never to judge people based on what they look like, because I learned a long time ago that appearances tell you nothing about character. A waitress approached, a college-aged girl with pink streaks in her hair and a concerned expression. She'd clearly witnessed Emily's near flight and Liam's intervention. Can I get you folks something? I'll have another black coffee, Liam said. And cinnamon latte, Emily said softly. Please, with extra cinnamon. And bring us some of those cranberry scones, Liam added, the good ones with the icing. As the waitress left, Emily finally looked directly at Liam. Really looked at him. Saw the tiredness around his eyes, the worn but clean clothes, the wedding ring-free finger with the slight indent that said there used to be one there. Saw someone who'd been hurt too. Single dad? She asked quietly. 4 years now, Liam confirmed. Daughter named Molly, 6 years old, currently at her grandmother's house having what I'm told is a princess party complete with makeup I'll be washing off for days. The love in his voice was unmistakable, warm and proud and utterly genuine. 4 years, Emily repeated. That's... How old was she when... 2. Liam's expression flickered with old pain. Her mother decided that parenthood wasn't for her. Left a note, walked out, haven't heard from her since. I came home from work to find Molly crying in her crib and a letter on the kitchen table. Emily's hand moved instinctively toward his across the table, then stopped, uncertain. I'm so sorry. Don't be. Liam's smile was complicated, hurt but healed, sad but strong. Best thing that ever happened to me was Molly. Worst thing was realizing the person I married wasn't who I thought she was. But you learn, you adapt, you become the parent your kid needs. That must be incredibly hard. Some days I'm so tired I forget my own name, Liam admitted with a laugh. Last week I showed up at Molly's school to pick her up and realized I was still wearing my safety goggles from work. But yeah, it's hard. It's also the most important thing I've ever done. The waitress returned with their drinks and scones, setting them down with a knowing smile, as if she could sense something shifting at this table, something the two people involved hadn't fully realized yet. Emily wrapped her hands around the warm mug, inhaling the cinnamon steam. You said we were both victims of the setup. What do you mean? I mean Mason from work has been playing friendly for weeks, Liam explained, his voice hardening slightly. Asking about Molly, sympathizing about the challenges of single parenting, suggesting I needed to get back out there. I thought he was being kind. Turns out he was setting up his entertainment for the afternoon. He glanced toward the corner where Brent and Mason were now in heated, whispered debate. I'm guessing they expected me to take one look at you, make some excuse, and bolt. Thought they'd get to film my rejection and your humiliation. That's exactly what they expected, Emily said, her voice steadier now, anger beginning to burn through the hurt. Rachel, that's Mason's girlfriend, set me up from the other end. Told me about this sweet single dad who needed someone genuine. I should have known. Rachel's never been nice to me without reason. So they orchestrated this from both sides. Liam shook his head in disgust. Used my loneliness and your hope as kindling for their entertainment. That's sociopathic. Welcome to my life, Emily said with a bitter laugh. Do you know what it's like being the office joke, the whispers in the break room? Last month someone left a Weight Watchers brochure on my desk. Anonymous, of course. They're always anonymous. Liam's hand clenched around his coffee mug. That's not okay. None of that is okay. No, it's not, Emily agreed, but it's reality. Has been my whole life. You learn to laugh at yourself before they can laugh at you. You make yourself small, ironically, so you take up less space they can mock. That's, Liam struggled for words. That's awful. You shouldn't have to live that way. Says the man society probably judges for being a single dad, Emily countered gently. I bet you've gotten your share of commentary. Liam's laugh was harsh. You're not wrong. The Concerned looks at parent-teacher conferences. The assumptions that I can't handle a daughter on my own, that Molly needs a woman's touch, that I'm somehow failing her because I can't braid hair very well, though I'm getting better, he added defensively. The dating world is fun too. Women either think I'm lying about having a kid to seem sensitive, or they see Molly as baggage they don't want to deal with. One woman literally got up and left when I showed her a picture of my daughter, said she wasn't interested in being anyone's stepmom. We were on a first date. No one was proposing marriage. People are terrible, Emily said. Some people are terrible, Liam corrected. Some people are just scared or ignorant or cruel because they're hurting. And some people, he met her eyes directly, are waiting for someone to see past the surface to who they really are. Emily felt something flutter in her chest, something she'd thought she'd buried years ago. Hope. Dangerous, fragile hope. So, Liam said, breaking off a piece of scone and offering the plate to her, tell me about Emily Warren, not the version those idiots in the corner think they know, the real you. Emily took a small piece of scone, buying time to think. When was the last time someone asked about the real her? I'm an accountant. Numbers make sense to me in a way people never have. Because numbers don't judge? Because numbers are honest, Emily said. 2 plus 2 always equals 4. A balanced sheet either balances or it doesn't. There's no gray area, no subjectivity. No one looks at a correct calculation and says, but it could be better if it were different. Liam nodded slowly. That makes sense. Control in a world that feels chaotic. What about you? What do you do when you're not being a superhero single dad? I work at Riverside Manufacturing, Liam said. Machine operator. It's not glamorous, hot, loud, repetitive, but it pays the bills, has decent benefits, and lets me keep a schedule that works around Molly's school. I wanted to be an architect once, had the grades for college, but life had other plans. Maybe someday I'll go back, or maybe I'll realize this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. You don't sound bitter about it. Bitter doesn't change anything, Liam said with a shrug. I could spend my energy resenting what didn't happen, or I can focus on making the best of what is. Molly deserves a dad who shows up for the life we have, not one morning the life we don't. Emily found herself studying him, really studying him. The laugh lines around his eyes suggested he smiled often, despite his hardships. His hands were work-roughened but gentle as he broke apart the scone. Everything about him suggested strength without hardness, resilience without bitterness. You're not what I expected, she said quietly. What did you expect? I don't know. Someone who'd pity me, maybe. Or worse, someone who'd be disgusted but too polite to show it. Someone who'd check his watch a lot and make excuses to leave early. And instead you got someone who's genuinely enjoying talking to you, Liam said simply. Funny how that works. In the corner, Brent and Mason's whispered argument had grown more heated. This isn't how it was supposed to go, Brent hissed, his phone still recording but his enthusiasm waning. He's supposed to be horrified. She's supposed to run crying. Why are they actually having a conversation? I don't know, Mason shot back, confused and increasingly uncomfortable. Maybe he's just being polite before he ditches. Give it time. But even as he said it, Mason could see the lie in his words. Liam wasn't showing any signs of discomfort or impatience. If anything, he looked more relaxed than Mason had ever seen him, leaning forward, engaged, actually listening to Emily with genuine interest. Back at their table, Emily was surprising herself by opening up in ways she usually didn't. Something about Liam's straightforward honesty made it feel safe. I love to bake, she was saying, color rising in her cheeks. Which I know, fat girl who loves baking, what a cliché. But it's more than that. It's chemistry and precision and creativity all combined. And there's something magical about taking individual ingredients that don't seem like much on their own and transforming them into something beautiful and delicious. That doesn't sound like a cliché, Liam said. That sounds like passion. What do you like to bake most? Cakes, Emily admitted. Elaborate decorated cakes. I watch those competition shows and try to recreate them in my tiny apartment kitchen. Most of the time I bring them to work." She stopped abruptly, and Liam saw the pain flash across her face. "Let me guess," he said gently. "People make comments." Someone once said, of course she made cake trying to ensure job security by keeping herself fat, Emily said, the words tumbling out like poison she needed to expel. Another time, I heard whispers about how I probably ate half the cake before bringing it in. The worst part is, they devour every slice while mocking the person who made it. Liam's jaw clenched. You know that says everything about them and nothing about you, right? Intellectually, yes. Emotionally? Emily gave a helpless shrug. It's harder to remember. Molly's birthday is in 6 weeks, Liam said suddenly. She wants a unicorn cake. I was planning to order something from the grocery store, but it's not going to be special, just generic. If, and this is a big if with no pressure, but if you'd ever want to try making a unicorn cake for a princess-obsessed 6-year-old, I would pay you for your time and ingredients. Not as a pity commission, he added quickly, seeing her expression. As a recognition of your skill and artistry. Emily stared at him. You'd trust me to make your daughter's birthday cake? You don't even know me. I know you're talented enough to recreate competition-level cakes in a small apartment kitchen, Liam pointed out. I know you're generous enough to share those creations with people who don't deserve them. And I know that anyone who loves baking the way you clearly do would put her heart into making a little girl's birthday special. So yeah, I'd trust you, if you're interested. Tears pricked Emily's eyes again, but these were different. Not tears of humiliation or pain, but of something she couldn't quite name. Being seen, being valued, being trusted with something important. I'd love to, she whispered. I'd really love to. Liam's smile could have powered the city. Then consider yourself commissioned. We can exchange numbers, talk about flavors and design. Molly has opinions, and figure out logistics. But only if you want to. I'm not trying to pressure you into anything. No, I want to, really. Emily pulled out her phone with trembling hands, and they exchanged numbers right there, the simple act feeling momentous somehow. They talked for another hour. The conversation flowed easier than either expected, ranging from the ridiculous to the profound. Liam told stories about Molly's escapades, the time she insisted on wearing her Halloween costume to church in January, the elaborate restaurant she'd set up in their living room, complete with menus drawn in crayon. Emily shared about growing up with 3 thin, beautiful sisters who never understood her, about the refuge she'd found in books and baking when the world felt too harsh. I was always the smart one, Emily explained, which is code for we can't call you pretty, so we'll make intelligence your defining characteristic. As if being smart and being attractive were mutually exclusive. That's ridiculous, Liam said flatly. You're obviously intelligent. Accountancy isn't easy. But you're also, he hesitated, aware they'd only just met, not wanting to overstep but also wanting to be honest. You're also lovely. You have kind eyes and an infectious smile when you let yourself really smile. Anyone who can't see that is choosing not to look. Emily's breath caught. You can't say things like that. Why not, if they're true? Because I don't know how to handle it when someone's kind to me. Then I guess you'll have to learn, Liam said with gentle firmness. Because I'm not going to pretend I don't see what I see. The cafe had grown quieter around them as afternoon faded toward evening. Other customers came and went. The college student with pink hair refilled their coffee cups twice with knowing smiles. And in the corner, Brent and Mason had long since given up on getting the reaction they wanted. This is a disaster, Brent muttered, finally stopping his recording. 2 hours of them just talking, being normal. Where's the comedy in that? I don't understand, Mason said, sounding genuinely confused. Porter was supposed to be embarrassed. Emily was supposed to be devastated. They were supposed to make it easy for us. Maybe they're just both really good actors, Brent suggested half-heartedly, but even he didn't believe it anymore. What they couldn't see from their corner vantage point was the way Liam and Emily had stopped performing altogether. The initial guardedness had melted away, replaced by genuine connection. They weren't two people forced together by a cruel prank anymore. They were two people discovering unexpected common ground, shared wounds, and the tentative possibility of something more. I should probably go, Emily said eventually, glancing at her phone. I told my roommate I'd be home by 5, and it's nearly 6. Me too, Liam admitted. I need to pick up Molly from my mom's before she feeds her more sugar than should be legally allowed. He stood, then offered his hand to help Emily up, not because she needed help, but as a gesture of respect and connection. They walked together toward the exit, and as they passed the corner table, Liam stopped, turned to face Brent and Mason directly. Hey Mason, he said conversationally. Thanks for the setup. It didn't go the way you planned, but it turns out you did me a favor. I just met someone genuinely interesting, kind, and talented, so I guess I owe you one, though not in the way you expected. Mason's face went red. Man, I don't know what you're— Save it, Liam cut him off, his voice calm but edged with steel. I know exactly what this was supposed to be. You wanted a show. You wanted to use my loneliness and Emily's insecurity as entertainment. That says a lot more about your character than it ever could about ours. He paused, letting that sink in. But here's the thing, you failed. Because Emily and I both showed up as actual human beings capable of dignity and respect. You should try it sometime. He didn't wait for a response, just guided Emily toward the door with a gentle hand on the small of her back. Outside, the evening air was cool and crisp, smelling of autumn leaves and approaching winter. They stood on the sidewalk, neither quite ready to say goodbye. Thank you, Emily said softly, for not leaving, for being kind, for seeing me. Thank you for staying, Liam countered, for giving me a chance when you had every reason to run, for being brave. I don't feel brave. Brave people never do, Liam said with a smile. They just do what needs doing despite being terrified. That's you today. Emily surprised herself by stepping forward and hugging him, brief but genuine, a gesture of gratitude and connection. Liam returned it without hesitation, and for just a moment, two wounded people found comfort in each other's understanding. Text me about the cake, Emily said as she pulled back. I want to hear all about what Molly loves. I will, Liam promised. And Emily? I'd like to do this again, not just for cake planning, just talking, like we did today. If you're interested. Emily's smile was radiant, transforming her face. I'd like that too. They parted ways then, Liam to his aging Honda to pick up his daughter, Emily to her apartment and confused roommate, both of them carrying something they hadn't brought with them to the cafe. Hope. Real, fragile, tentative hope that maybe, just maybe, the world held more kindness than cruelty, more connection than isolation, more possibility than pain. Inside Common Grounds, the waitress with pink streaks cleaned their table and found a generous tip along with a note in Liam's handwriting. Thank you for the coffee and the compassion. Both were perfect. In the corner, Brent and Mason gathered their things in sullen silence, their supposed prank having backfired spectacularly. They'd wanted comedy and gotten kindness. They'd sought humiliation and witnessed humanity. They'd set up a joke and accidentally created something that looked suspiciously like the beginning of something real. As Liam drove toward his mother's house, he found himself smiling, really smiling, for the first time in months. His phone sat in the cup holder, Emily's number saved, their text thread already started with a simple message from her. Made it home. Thank you again for today. It was unexpected in the best possible way. He'd respond when he stopped, maybe with details about Molly's unicorn cake requirements, maybe with a suggestion for actual coffee next weekend, maybe with the truth that she'd reminded him what it felt like to be seen as more than his circumstances, more than his failures, more than just a single dad struggling to keep his head above water. When he arrived at his mother's house, Molly came barreling out with glitter in her hair and chocolate on her face, launching herself into his arms with the pure joy only a 6-year-old can muster. Daddy, we had so much fun. Grammy let me do makeup, and we played dress up, and I was a princess, and we had cookies, and the words tumbled over each other in her excitement. Sounds like you had a great day, princess, Liam said, hugging her tight. Did you have a good day, Daddy? Molly asked, with the serious concern children sometimes show. Liam thought about walking into that cafe expecting nothing special, about the cruelty of the setup, about Emily's tear-filled eyes and brave choice to stay, about conversation that flowed like old friends reuniting, about the possibility of something new and good and real. Yeah, baby girl, he said honestly, settling her on his hip. I had a really good day. That makes me happy, Molly declared, then immediately pivoted to more pressing 6-year-old concerns. Can we have mac and cheese for dinner? The kind with the shapes? As Liam loaded his daughter into her car seat and listened to her chatter about her day, he felt something shift in his chest. For 4 years, he'd been in survival mode, working, parenting, making it through each day with the goal of simply making it through. He'd stopped believing in possibilities beyond the immediate, stopped hoping for more than the steady routine of work and home and bedtime stories. But Emily's smile kept playing in his mind. Her genuine laugh, the way her eyes had lit up talking about baking, the bravery it took to walk into that cafe, and the grace it took to stay despite the cruelty. Maybe Mason and Brent had accidentally given him a gift after all, not in the way they'd intended, but in the way fate sometimes works. They'd tried to orchestrate humiliation and instead created opportunity. They'd attempted to mock 2 people they saw as easy targets and instead brought together 2 souls who understood what it meant to be judged unfairly, to be reduced to a single characteristic, to be brave in the face of a cruel world. Driving home through the suburban streets of Maple Ridge, with Molly singing off-key in the back seat and the evening sun painting everything gold, Liam Porter allowed himself something he hadn't permitted in years. He allowed himself to hope that maybe, just maybe, his story wasn't over, that maybe there were new chapters waiting to be written, new connections waiting to be forged, new possibilities waiting to unfold. In her small apartment across town, Emily Warren was having a similar revelation. Her roommate Jessica had peppered her with questions the moment she walked in, and Emily had spilled the entire story, the setup, the prank, Liam's unexpected kindness, the conversation that stretched for 2 hours and felt like minutes. So you're going to see him again? Jessica asked, her excitement barely contained. He wants me to make his daughter's birthday cake, Emily said, still somewhat in disbelief. That's huge! He's trusting you with his kid's birthday? I know, Emily breathed, and he asked if we could get coffee again, just to talk. This is amazing, Jessica squealed, then grew more serious. But Em, I need to ask, you're not going into this thinking he's going to save you or fix everything, right? Because I love you, and I don't want to see you hurt. Emily considered the question carefully. No, she said slowly. I don't think he's going to save me, but I think maybe we saved each other today. From believing that everyone is cruel, from thinking we're too damaged or too different to deserve connection, from giving up on the possibility that someone might look past the surface to see who we really are. Jessica hugged her friend tightly. I'm proud of you. For staying. For being brave. That night, as Emily lay in bed reviewing every moment of the afternoon, her phone buzzed with a text from Liam. Molly wants a unicorn cake that's chocolate inside with vanilla buttercream, rainbow colors on the horn, and lots of sparkles because sparkles are important, Daddy. Her words, not mine. Also, would you want to get dinner next Saturday? There's a family-friendly Italian place near the park. You could meet Molly if you're comfortable with that. No pressure either way. Emily read the message 3 times, her heart racing. Meeting his daughter was significant, a sign that Liam saw potential for something real, not just casual coffee dates. It was terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. She typed and deleted 4 different responses before settling on, chocolate and vanilla with rainbow horn and maximum sparkles. I can definitely do that. And yes to dinner. I'd love to meet Molly. She sounds wonderful. His response came quickly. She is wonderful. Fair warning, though, she has no filter and will probably ask you inappropriate questions. Last week she asked our mail carrier why his nose was so big. Emily laughed out loud, the sound surprising in her quiet bedroom. I can handle curious questions from a 6-year-old, she typed back. It's the cruel comments from adults that hurt. Then we'll keep the cruel adults far away, Liam responded. See you Saturday. In the days that followed, word spread through both their workplaces about the prank that backfired. Rachel, Mason's girlfriend, was mortified when she learned the full extent of what had been planned. She'd thought it was just a harmless joke, not understanding the cruelty at its core. She approached Emily in the break room on Monday. "I'm so sorry," Rachel said, genuine regret in her voice. "I didn't realize. Mason said it would just be funny, that you'd laugh about it. I didn't understand it was mean." Emily studied her, trying to decide if the apology was sincere. "Did you think about how I'd feel? Walking into what I thought was a real date and discovering it was entertainment?" Rachel's face crumpled. "No, I didn't. I thought, God, this sounds so awful now. I thought you'd be grateful just to have a date, even a joke one. I didn't see how terrible that was until Brent told me what really happened, how nice Liam was, how you guys actually connected." "We did," Emily said quietly, "despite your best efforts to humiliate us both." "I know, and I'm sorry, truly." Rachel hesitated. "For what it's worth, I told Mason what a jerk he was. We're not together anymore. I couldn't be with someone who thought that kind of cruelty was funny." Emily felt a small surge of vindication, but also something unexpected, pity. "Good for you, for having standards." "Better late than never, I guess," Rachel said sadly. "I hope things work out with Liam. You deserve someone kind." At Riverside Manufacturing, Liam found himself in HR by Tuesday afternoon. Apparently, several people had witnessed the cafe incident. It was a popular spot. And word had gotten back to management about Mason and Brent's prank. Combined with Liam's formal complaint, both men were facing disciplinary action. "We take harassment seriously," the HR director told Liam. "Using company time to orchestrate humiliation of coworkers, even if the primary target wasn't a direct colleague, violates our code of conduct. Mason and Brent are being suspended without pay for 2 weeks and will undergo mandatory sensitivity training. If there's any repeat behavior, termination is on the table." Liam nodded, satisfied but not triumphant. He'd wanted accountability, not destruction. "Thank you. I appreciate the company taking this seriously." "For what it's worth," the HR director added, a slight smile on her professional demeanor, "I heard you handled the situation with real grace. That's the kind of character we want representing this company." Mason and Brent's reactions to their punishment were markedly different. Brent remained defensive, insisting it was just a joke, and that everyone was being too sensitive. Mason, however, seemed genuinely shaken. He caught Liam in the parking lot on Wednesday. "I owe you an apology," Mason said, looking uncomfortable but determined. "What I did was wrong. I thought I was being funny, but I was being cruel. To you and to Emily." "I'm sorry." Liam regarded him coolly. "You befriended me specifically to set me up. You used my trust." "I know. You thought my loneliness and struggle as a single dad was comedy material." "I know," Mason repeated, shame coloring his voice. "I don't have a good excuse. I was trying to impress Brent, trying to be, relevant, cool. It's pathetic." "It is," Liam agreed bluntly, but acknowledging it is a start." He paused, then added, "I'm not going to pretend we're friends again. That trust is broken. But I appreciate the apology. Try to be better. Actually be better, not just say it." Mason nodded miserably and walked away, leaving Liam to reflect on the complicated nature of forgiveness and accountability. Saturday arrived with a mix of clouds and sun, weather that couldn't decide what it wanted to be, fitting for the nervous anticipation both Liam and Emily felt. They texted throughout the week, conversations ranging from cake designs to favorite movies to deeper discussions about hopes and fears. Each message felt like carefully placing stones across a river, building a bridge one piece at a time. Emily changed outfits 4 times before settling on dark jeans and a soft blue sweater, casual but put together, comfortable but confident. She'd learned over the years that overthinking her appearance only amplified her anxiety, but this felt different. She wasn't dressing to hide or to compensate. She was just dressing as herself. Liam picked her up at her apartment, Molly bouncing in her booster seat with barely contained excitement. The little girl had been talking nonstop all day about Daddy's new friend who makes princess cakes. When Emily emerged from her building, Liam felt his breath catch slightly. In the warm afternoon light, wearing that soft blue sweater and a genuine smile, she looked radiant, not in the conventional magazine cover way, but in the way of someone beginning to believe they deserved happiness. "Hi," he said, suddenly feeling nervous. "Hi," Emily echoed, equally nervous. Then her gaze shifted to the car where a small face was pressed against the window. "And that must be Molly." "Daddy, she's here! The cake lady is here!" Molly's muffled shout came through the glass, making both adults laugh. Emily slid into the passenger seat, turning to face Molly immediately. "Hi, Molly, I'm Emily." "You're going to make my unicorn cake?" Molly asked, eyes wide with importance. "I am. I'm going to make it the most magical unicorn cake ever created. With lots of sparkles? So many sparkles, you'll need sunglasses." Molly gasped with delight. I like her, Daddy. She understands about sparkles." The Italian restaurant was warm and bustling with families, the kind of place that welcomed children and didn't judge parents when pasta sauce inevitably ended up everywhere. They settled into a booth, Molly immediately demanding to sit next to Emily. "So I can tell her all about unicorns," she explained seriously to her father. "Oh no," Liam said with mock horror. "Emily, you're about to get the full unicorn lecture. I apologize in advance." But Emily was enchanted. Molly launched into an elaborate explanation of unicorn mythology, mixing actual folklore with Disney princess movies and her own 6-year-old imagination, and Emily listened with genuine interest, asking questions and adding thoughtful commentary. Watching them interact, Liam felt something warm bloom in his chest. Molly was his whole world, his reason for everything. Seeing her light up with someone new, watching Emily engage with her not as an obligation but with real warmth, it meant everything. Over breadsticks and pasta, the conversation flowed naturally. Molly dominated initially, but gradually she settled into her coloring book, allowing the adults to talk. "She's wonderful," Emily said softly, watching Molly concentrate on staying inside the lines. "She is," Liam agreed with open pride. "She's also exhausting, dramatic, stubborn, and has more energy than should be physically possible. But yeah, wonderful covers it. Thank you for letting me meet her. I know that's a big deal." Liam met her eyes seriously. "It is. I don't introduce just anyone to Molly. I won't have people drift in and out of her life. She's already dealt with abandonment once." "I understand," Emily said, "and I promise, whether this becomes something or just stays a friendship, I won't disappear on her without explanation. She deserves better than that." "Emily!" Molly suddenly demanded. "What's your favorite princess?" Emily considered seriously. "Probably Belle. I liked that she loved books and saw past appearances to the person underneath." "That's a good reason," Molly declared approvingly. "Mine's Elsa because she has ice powers, and also she's brave." "Those are excellent reasons." As dinner wound down, Molly was flagging, the excitement and food combining into drowsiness. She curled against Emily's side, yawning hugely. "Someone's getting sleepy," Liam observed. "We're not sleepy," Molly mumbled, even as her eyes drooped. "Emily, will you come to my birthday party? I want you to see the cake you made." Emily felt tears prick her eyes. "I would love to come to your birthday party. Promise?" "I promise." "Okay, that's good." And with that, Molly fell asleep against Emily's shoulder, complete with the suddenness only children could manage. Emily looked at Liam helplessly, but also with joy. He smiled, pulling out his phone to snap a picture, not to post or share, but to remember this moment. His daughter, peaceful and trusting. This woman who'd walked into his life through cruelty but stayed for connection. The three of them together, looking suspiciously like something he'd thought he'd never have again. A family. Driving Emily home with Molly asleep in the back, the car was quiet but comfortable. "She really likes you," Liam said softly. "The feeling is entirely mutual," Emily replied. "She's special, Liam. You've done an incredible job with her." "Thanks. Most days I feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water, but she makes it worth it." When they pulled up to Emily's apartment, neither wanted the evening to end. "So," Liam began, "I don't want to pressure you or move too fast, especially with Molly involved. But I have to be honest. I really like you, Emily. I like talking to you. I like how you are with my daughter. I like that you understand what it means to be judged unfairly, and came out of it with kindness instead of bitterness. I'd like to see where this could go, if you're interested. Emily's heart raced. I'm interested, definitely interested, and I appreciate you being upfront about Molly being the priority. She should be. I wouldn't want it any other way. Yeah? Yeah. Liam smiled, that warm, genuine smile that made his eyes crinkle. Then let's see where this goes. No pressure, no expectations beyond honesty and respect, just possibility. Possibility? Emily repeated, liking the sound of it. I can work with possibility. They made plans for the following weekend, a park visit with Molly and maybe dinner again. Emily would start working on cake designs. They'd keep texting, keep learning about each other, keep building their careful bridge across the river. Before she got out of the car, Emily surprised herself by leaning over and kissing Liam's cheek, brief, sweet, full of promise. Thank you, she whispered, for seeing me, for staying that day in the cafe, for giving me a chance. Thank you for being brave enough to stay, Liam whispered back, for giving me a chance. As Emily walked to her building, she turned back once to wave. Liam waved back, and in the back seat, Molly stirred, murmuring sparkles in her sleep. The night was clear and cool, stars visible despite the city lights. Emily stood on her small balcony for a long moment, marveling at how quickly life could shift. 1 week ago, she'd walked into a cafe expecting humiliation and found unexpected connection. One blind date set up as a cruel prank had somehow become the opening chapter of something that felt important, something that felt real. She couldn't know then what would come next. The challenges they'd face, the growth they'd experience, the family they'd build. But standing there under the stars, with Liam's kindness still warm in her heart and Molly's trust still precious in her mind, Emily allowed herself to believe that maybe she deserved love, that maybe her size didn't define her worth, that maybe there were people in the world who could see past surfaces to souls, that maybe, just maybe, the best things in life came not despite cruelty, but as a form of cosmic justice against it. Inside her apartment, her phone buzzed with a text from Liam. Made it home. Molly woke up long enough to tell me Emily is princess-level nice, which is apparently the highest compliment possible. She's not wrong. Sleep well. Emily smiled, hugging her phone to her chest like a teenager instead of a 29-year-old woman. But maybe that was okay. Maybe it was okay to feel giddy and hopeful and open to possibility. She typed back, "Tell Molly that's the best compliment I've ever received. Sleep well, both of you. See you next weekend." And for the first time in longer than she could remember, Emily Warren went to bed feeling something other than resignation or dread. She went to bed feeling hope. The weeks that followed moved with a rhythm that felt both exhilarating and terrifying, like learning to dance with someone new, uncertain steps that gradually found their tempo. Emily found herself existing in two parallel realities: the familiar world of her accounting job where whispers still followed her through hallways, and this new fragile world where someone saw her as more than a punchline. Saturday mornings became sacred. Liam would pick her up with Molly already chattering in the back seat, and they'd venture to different parks around Maple Ridge. Emily discovered that 6-year-olds had inexhaustible energy and opinions about everything from the correct way to go down a slide to why dogs were better than cats, but cats were still pretty good. "You have to go down backwards with your eyes closed," Molly insisted one crisp October morning, demonstrating on a bright yellow slide. "That's the brave way." "I don't know if I'm that brave," Emily laughed, watching Molly zoom down without fear. "You are," Liam said quietly beside her. "You're braver than you think." Emily glanced at him, finding him watching her with an expression that made her heart flutter. 3 weeks had passed since their first cafe meeting, and every interaction felt like unwrapping a gift, discovering new layers, new connections, new reasons to believe this was real. "Your turn, Emily," Molly called from the bottom of the slide. "Be brave." So Emily climbed the ladder, positioned herself at the top of the slide, closed her eyes, and went down backwards to Molly's delighted cheers. When she reached the bottom, slightly dizzy and laughing, Molly threw her arms around her waist. "See, you are brave, I told you." Later, sitting on a park bench while Molly played on the swings, Liam unpacked the lunch he'd brought: sandwiches, apple slices, and homemade cookies that were slightly burnt on the edges. "I tried," he said sheepishly, noticing Emily examining a cookie. Molly and I made them last night. Turns out we're better at eating cookies than baking them. Emily bit into one, and despite the burnt edge, it was sweet and made with love. They're perfect. Really? You're kind, Liam said, but we both know they're disasters, which is why we need your expertise. Molly's birthday is in 3 weeks, and I've been informed the unicorn cake is the most important thing in the whole world, Daddy. No pressure. I've been working on designs, Emily admitted, pulling out her phone to show him sketches she'd drawn. I was thinking a 2-tier cake, chocolate and vanilla like Molly wanted. The bottom tier would be covered in pastel buttercream scales, and the top tier would be the unicorn's face with a rainbow horn made from modeling chocolate, edible flowers around the base, and yes, lots of sparkles. Liam studied the sketches with genuine admiration. This is incredible. How did you learn to do all this? YouTube mostly, Emily said, and practice. Lots of failed attempts that ended up in the trash. But that's how you learn, by being willing to fail and try again. That's actually profound life advice. Learned it from cake, Emily said with a smile. If a cake doesn't work, you don't stop baking. You figure out what went wrong and do better next time. I wish more things worked that way, Liam said softly. I wish when relationships failed, you got a clear recipe for how to fix it next time. It was the first time he'd really referenced his ex-wife directly, and Emily felt the weight of old pain in his words. What happened? She asked gently. With Molly's mom. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. Liam watched his daughter on the swings, pumping her legs with determination, her laughter carrying across the playground. Sarah was young when we got married. We both were. 23, thought we had it all figured out. She got pregnant 3 months after the wedding. Accident, but we were happy about it. Or I thought we were. He paused, and Emily waited, not pushing. After Molly was born, Sarah changed. Postpartum depression maybe, though she refused to see anyone about it. She'd look at Molly like she was a stranger. When Molly cried, Sarah would just shut down. I tried to help, to take on more, to make it easier. I thought if I could just be enough, supportive enough, helpful enough, she'd come back to us. But she didn't, Emily said softly. She didn't, Liam confirmed. One day I came home from work and found Molly alone, crying in her crib. She'd been there for hours, diaper unchanged, hungry. And there was a note on the kitchen table. Sarah said she couldn't do it anymore, couldn't be a wife or mother, needed to find herself. She left her wedding ring and her daughter and walked away. Oh, Liam, Emily breathed, her heart breaking for the man beside her and the little girl who'd been abandoned. I was terrified, Liam admitted. 27 years old, no idea how to be a single parent, working full-time at a job that barely paid the bills. My mom helped a lot those first months, but mostly it was just me and Molly, figuring it out together. Learning that love isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up every day, even when you're exhausted, even when you don't know what you're doing. Have you heard from her since? Not once. No birthday cards, no phone calls, nothing. Legally, she signed away all parental rights 6 months after leaving. I have full custody. Sometimes I wonder if Molly will resent me for that someday, for not fighting to keep her mother in her life. But how do you fight to keep someone who doesn't want to be kept? Emily reached over and took his hand, threading her fingers through his. You gave Molly stability and love and safety. That's not something to feel guilty about. You did what you had to do. Liam squeezed her hand, drawing strength from the contact. Some people think there's something wrong with me, like I must have done something to drive Sarah away, or they pity me, poor single dad, can't find anyone to take on his baggage. Dating has been brutal. Women either run when they find out about Molly, or they try to play stepmom too fast, like they're auditioning for a role instead of building a genuine relationship. Is that what you're worried about? Emily asked. That I'm playing a role? No, Liam said immediately, meeting her eyes. With you, it feels different. It feels real. The way you are with Molly. It's not forced or performative. You actually listen to her, engage with her, and you're not trying to replace anyone or prove anything. You're just yourself. I'm terrified, Emily confessed. I've never dated someone with a kid before. I'm scared I'll say the wrong thing or do something wrong or let Molly down somehow. But then she'll say something ridiculous or show me a drawing she made, and I forget to be scared. She makes it easy to love her. The word hung in the air between them. Love. It was too soon, they both knew that, but it was also honest. Emily was falling in love with this little family, with the man who'd chosen kindness in a cafe and the child who trusted with her whole heart. "Daddy! Emily! Watch this!" Molly called from the monkey bars, preparing to attempt a crossing that looked terrifying to adult eyes. They both jumped up, moving closer to spot her, hearts in their throats as she made her way across with fierce concentration. When she reached the end, she dropped down with a triumphant yell. "Did you see? I did it all by myself!" "We saw, baby girl," Liam called. "That was amazing." "I'm very strong," Molly declared, flexing her tiny arms. "Emily, feel my muscles." Emily dutifully felt Molly's arm and declared her incredibly strong, which led to Molly spending the next 10 minutes demonstrating various feats of strength and agility while her audience of 2 applauded enthusiastically. Later, as they walked back to the car, Molly between them holding both their hands, she suddenly said, "Emily, are you Daddy's girlfriend?" Both adults froze mid-step. They hadn't labeled anything yet, hadn't had the talk about what this was or where it was going. They'd been living in the comfortable space of possibility. Emily started, unsure how to answer. But Liam crouched down to Molly's level. "Would that be okay with you if she was?" Molly considered this with 6-year-old seriousness. "Will she still come to my birthday party?" "Of course," Emily said. "Will she still make my unicorn cake?" "Absolutely." "Will she come to more parks with us?" "If you want me to," Emily said, her voice catching slightly. "I do want you to," Molly declared. "So yes, it's okay. You can be Daddy's girlfriend." As if she'd been giving royal permission, she nodded decisively and skipped ahead to the car. Liam stood, meeting Emily's eyes with a mixture of nervousness and hope. "So, that happened." "That happened," Emily echoed. Are we?" "I'd like to be," Liam said. "If you would. I know it's only been 3 weeks, but I also know that I look forward to seeing you more than anything else in my week. I know that Molly talks about you constantly. I know that when something happens, good or bad, you're the first person I want to tell. And I know that when I think about the future, I'm starting to see you in it." Emily felt tears prick her eyes. "I see you in my future too, both of you. And yes, I want to be your girlfriend, official and everything." Liam's smile was brilliant. He reached for her hand again, and this time, when their fingers intertwined, it felt like a promise. They walked to the car like that, hand in hand, following a skipping 6-year-old who'd just orchestrated their relationship status with the straightforward wisdom of a child. The following week at Emily's office, the atmosphere had shifted subtly. Rachel had been vocal about her breakup with Mason and the reasons behind it, and word had spread about what had really happened at Common Grounds. The whispers hadn't stopped entirely, they never did, but now they carried a different tone. Some people actually approached Emily to apologize for past comments or to express admiration for how she'd handled the situation. "I don't know if I could have stayed calm like that," a colleague named Jennifer said at the coffee station. "If someone set me up like that, I'd have thrown a drink in their face." "I wanted to," Emily admitted, "but Liam made it feel safe to stay. And I'm glad I did. He sounds like a good guy." "He really is." But not everyone was reformed. Brenda from HR, different from the HR director who'd handled the disciplinary action, cornered Emily in the bathroom one afternoon with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "So you're dating that single dad," Brenda said, touching up her lipstick. "The one from the whole cafe situation. That's nice." "It is nice," Emily said carefully, recognizing the tone. "Just be careful," Brenda continued, her voice dripping with false concern. "Single dads can be desperate, you know. They're looking for someone to help raise their kids, play house. Make sure he actually likes you for you, not just because you're willing to take on his responsibilities." The words hit exactly where they were intended, right in Emily's deepest insecurities. Was Liam with her because he genuinely cared, or because she was convenient, available, willing to love a child that needed a mother figure? "Thanks for your concern," Emily said tightly, "but I'm fine." She left the bathroom with Brenda's words echoing in her head, poisonous and insidious. By the time she got home that evening, she'd worked herself into an anxious spiral. When Liam called for their nightly conversation, a routine they'd established early, she was distant, distracted. "Everything okay?" Liam asked, picking up on her tone immediately. "Fine," Emily lied. Just tired." Talk to me. I can tell something's wrong." Emily hesitated, then the words spilled out. "Why are you with me, Liam? Really?" The question clearly caught him off guard. "What do you mean?" "Someone at work said, they said single dads are sometimes desperate, that they're looking for someone to help raise their kids. And I need to know this is real. That you're not with me because I'm convenient or available or willing to love Molly. I need to know you actually want me." The silence on the other end lasted several heartbeats too long, and Emily's anxiety spiked. But when Liam spoke, his voice was steady and serious. "Emily, listen to me carefully. I'm going to tell you something I probably should have said earlier. Before I met you, I'd given up on dating, not because I didn't want companionship, but because I refused to bring someone into Molly's life who wasn't genuine. I turned down dates, ignored setups, kept my distance from anyone who looked at my daughter as an obligation instead of a gift." "Okay," Emily said quietly. "When I walked into that cafe, I had no expectations. When I saw you, saw your fear and pain, I could have still walked away. But I stayed because I saw something in you, kindness, bravery, authenticity. And then we talked, and I discovered you were funny and smart and understood what it meant to be judged unfairly. Not once did I think about how you'd fit into my life practically. I just thought about how much I enjoyed being around you. But Molly is part of my life, yes. And anyone I date needs to accept that. But you're not with me because of Molly. Molly adores you because you're genuine, not because you're trying to win her over. And I'm with you because you're you, not because you're willing to tolerate my daughter, but because you're someone I genuinely care about who happens to also care about the most important person in my world. Do you see the difference?" Emily sniffled, wiping at her eyes. "Someone at work got in my head." "I know, and I get it. You've spent your life being told you're not enough. But Emily, you're more than enough. For me, for Molly, for anyone lucky enough to have you in their life. And if someone suggests otherwise, they're wrong. Categorically, completely wrong." "I'm sorry," Emily whispered, "for doubting you. Don't apologize for your feelings, but maybe next time, talk to me before you spiral. We're a team now, partners. That means we face the doubts together instead of alone." "Partners?" Emily repeated, liking the sound of it. "I can do that." "Good. Now, Molly wants me to ask you something. She's been bugging me for 10 minutes. Put her on." There was rustling, then Molly's voice came through, breathless and excited. "Emily, Daddy said I can have a sleepover for my birthday with 3 whole friends, and we're going to eat cake and watch movies and stay up very late. Will you help? Please, please, please." Emily laughed, her anxiety melting away under the onslaught of Molly's enthusiasm. "Of course I'll help. We'll make it the best sleepover ever." "Yes. Okay, here's Daddy again. I love you, Emily." The words were said so casually, so naturally, that their impact took a moment to land. A 6-year-old's love, freely given, without agenda or manipulation, just pure, honest affection. "I love you too, Molly," Emily said, her voice thick with emotion. When Liam came back on the line, they were both quiet for a moment. "She means it," Liam said finally. "When Molly loves someone, it's all in, no reservations." "I know," Emily said, "and I mean it too. I love her. I love her fierce spirit and her dramatic declarations and the way she approaches everything with absolute confidence. She's extraordinary." "She is," Liam agreed. "And for what it's worth, I'm falling for you too. It's fast and probably scary, but it's also honest. I'm falling in love with you, Emily Warren." Emily's breath caught. "Yeah? Yeah. Good," she whispered, "because I'm falling for you too. For both of you." They stayed on the phone for another hour, talking about everything and nothing, building their foundation stone by careful stone. By the time they hung up, Emily felt centered again, secure in the knowledge that what they had was real. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of activity. Emily spent every spare moment working on Molly's unicorn cake, doing test runs in her small apartment kitchen until she was confident she could execute the vision perfectly. Her roommate Jessica became an unwilling taste tester. "If I eat one more piece of cake, I'm going to turn into cake," Jessica complained, even as she accepted another sample. "But seriously, Em, this is incredible. That kid is going to lose her mind. It has to be perfect," Emily fretted, examining the modeling chocolate horn she'd crafted. "This is important." "It's a birthday cake for a 6-year-old, Jessica pointed out gently. "She's going to love it no matter what, because you made it with love." "I know, but you want to prove you belong," Jessica finished, understanding dawning. "You want to show Liam and Molly that you're worth keeping around." Emily deflated. "Is that terrible?" "It's human," Jessica said. "But babe, you already belong. They already chose you. The cake is just cake. You're the gift they're really getting." Emily hugged her friend tightly. "When did you get so wise?" "I've always been wise. You're just finally listening." On the Thursday before Molly's Saturday birthday party, Emily took a personal day to do the actual baking. She'd commandeered her apartment kitchen, ingredients spread across every surface, determination etched into her features. This cake would be perfect because Molly deserved perfect. She started early, mixing batter for the chocolate tier, then the vanilla. While they baked, she prepared the buttercream frosting, pounds of butter and powdered sugar whipped into fluffy clouds. She'd pre-made the modeling chocolate for the horn and ears, and spent hours carefully crafting fondant flowers in shades of pink and purple and blue. By late afternoon, both tiers were cooled, crumb-coated, and ready for their final frosting. Emily worked with the precision she usually reserved for balancing complex spreadsheets, applying buttercream in smooth layers, creating the scale pattern on the bottom tier with careful piping. The top tier became the unicorn's face, black fondant eyes with careful highlights to make them sparkle, a gentle smile, rosy cheeks. The rainbow horn was a masterpiece of modeling chocolate. Each color blended seamlessly into the next, twisted into a spiral that caught the light. She attached it carefully, then added fondant ears and a mane of buttercream swirls in rainbow colors. Finally, the sparkles. Edible glitter in gold and silver and iridescent white dusted over everything until the cake glowed like something from a fairy tale. When she finished, it was nearly 9 p.m. Emily stood back, examining her work with critical eyes. The cake was stunning, easily the best thing she'd ever created. But more than that, it was made with love. Every detail chosen specifically for Molly, every color and sparkle and design element meant to bring joy to a little girl who'd brought unexpected joy into Emily's life. She photographed it from every angle, then carefully boxed it for transport. Tomorrow she'd deliver it to Liam's house early, before the party started at 2 p.m. Tonight, she'd sleep with the satisfaction of having created something meaningful. Her phone buzzed with a text from Liam. "Molly made me promise 3 times that the cake would really be there tomorrow. I assured her you'd never let her down. Sleep well. Can't wait to see you tomorrow." Emily smiled, typing back, "The cake is ready, and it's magical. Molly's going to flip. See you tomorrow. Tell her not to worry. I've got this." "I never doubted you," came Liam's response, followed by a heart emoji that made Emily's chest feel warm and full. Saturday morning dawned bright and clear, the kind of perfect autumn day that seemed custom-ordered for a child's birthday party. Emily arrived at Liam's house at 10 a.m., carefully transporting the boxed cake like it was made of spun glass. She'd been to his house only twice before, brief visits to pick up or drop off Molly, but this felt different. She was being welcomed into their celebration, their inner circle. Liam opened the door before she could knock, his hair still damp from a shower, wearing jeans and a sweater that made him look comfortable and domestic in a way that made Emily's heart flutter. "Let me help," he said immediately, taking the cake box from her with reverent care. "Molly's at my mom's for a few hours, so we can set up without her trying to eat the decorations." Inside, the house was organized chaos. Streamers and balloons in every shade of pink and purple covered the living room. A banner reading, "Happy 6th Birthday, Molly," hung over the fireplace. Presents were stacked on a side table, and Emily added her own, a art supplies set she'd carefully selected, knowing Molly's love of drawing. "Where should we put the cake?" Emily asked. "Kitchen table. I cleared it off completely." Liam led the way, setting the box down carefully. "Ready for the big reveal?" Emily's hands trembled slightly as she opened the box and carefully lifted the cake onto the stand Liam had prepared. The effect in the natural kitchen light was even more spectacular than in her apartment. The sparkles caught the sun streaming through the windows, making the entire cake shimmer. Liam stared, speechless. "Is it okay?" Emily asked nervously. "I know it's a lot, but Molly said sparkles were important, and I wanted—" "Emily," Liam interrupted, his voice rough with emotion. "It's perfect. It's beyond perfect. I've never seen anything like it." "Really? Really?" He pulled her into a hug, holding her tight. "Thank you, not just for the cake, but for caring enough to make it special, for putting this much love into making my daughter's day magical." Emily hugged him back, breathing in his familiar scent, laundry detergent and coffee and something uniquely him. "She's special. She deserves magical." They pulled apart, but Liam kept his hands on her shoulders, looking at her with such tenderness that Emily felt her breath catch. Then he leaned in and kissed her, soft and sweet and full of promise. It was their first real kiss, and it felt like coming home. "I've been wanting to do that for weeks," Liam admitted when they separated. "Me too," Emily whispered. "Well, now I want to do it again," Liam said with a smile. And he did. This kiss longer and deeper, a confirmation of everything they'd been building. They were interrupted by Liam's phone buzzing with a text from his mother. "Molly is vibrating with excitement. Bringing her home in 15 minutes. Hope you're ready." "Party time," Liam said, showing Emily the message. "Thank you for being here, for all of this." "Nowhere else I'd rather be," Emily said honestly. The party was controlled chaos of the best kind. Molly arrived and immediately screamed when she saw the decorations, then screamed louder when she saw Emily, launching herself into a hug that nearly knocked them both over. "You're here! You're really here!" Molly shouted, then noticed the cake visible through the kitchen doorway. Her eyes went wide. Is that my cake?" "Want to see it up close?" Emily asked. Molly nodded, suddenly speechless. A rare occurrence. Emily led her into the kitchen, and when Molly saw the cake in full glory, she gasped. "It's the most beautiful cake in the whole entire world," she breathed, her voice filled with awe. "Emily, it's perfect. It's more than perfect." She touched the base gently, as if afraid it might disappear. "Can we keep it forever and never eat it?" "We have to eat it eventually," Liam said with a laugh. "That's what cake is for." "But it's so pretty." "Which is why we'll take lots of pictures first," Emily assured her. "And then we'll eat it, and it'll taste as good as it looks, I promise." 3 of Molly's friends arrived shortly after: Madison, Zoe, and Sophia, all 6 years old and varying degrees of shy or rambunctious. Liam's mother Carol stayed to help supervise, greeting Emily with a warm hug. "So you're the famous Emily," Carol said with twinkling eyes. "I've heard so much about you. All good things, I promise." "Nice to meet you officially," Emily said, liking her immediately. "That cake is extraordinary," Carol said. "You're talented." "Thank you. It was a labor of love." Carol studied her for a moment, then patted her hand gently. "I can see that. And I can see that you love them both. That's all I need to know." The party unfolded with the beautiful disaster that all children's parties embodied. They played pin the tail on the donkey and musical chairs, with Emily and Carol managing the chaos while Liam refereed disputes with diplomatic patience. The living room echoed with giggles and shrieks and the kind of pure joy that only children could produce. When it came time for cake, they gathered around the kitchen table. Emily carefully placed 6 candles on the cake, 5 regular ones and 1 special rainbow candle. They dimmed the lights and everyone sang Happy Birthday, while Molly glowed with happiness, her eyes reflecting the candlelight. "Make a wish, baby girl," Liam said softly. Molly squeezed her eyes shut tight, her face scrunched in concentration, then blew out all the candles in one breath to applause and cheers. "What did you wish for?" Madison asked. "Can't tell," Molly said seriously, "or it won't come true. But it was a good wish." Emily helped Liam cut and serve the cake, and watching the children's faces light up at first bite was worth every hour she'd spent perfecting it. Chocolate and vanilla, sweet buttercream, the slight crunch of sparkles, it was everything she'd hoped it would be. "This is the best cake I've ever had," Sophia declared through a mouthful of frosting. Emily made it, Molly announced proudly. She's the best baker in the whole world, and she's Daddy's girlfriend. Four little girls immediately erupted into giggles and oohs while Emily felt her face flame red. Liam just laughed and squeezed her hand under the table. After cake came presents, new dolls and art supplies and games that would inevitably end up scattered across the living room floor. Molly loved everything, but when she opened Emily's present, her reaction was explosive. Art supplies, professional ones. Emily, these are amazing. She immediately insisted on showing her friends all the different colored pencils and markers. Now I can draw you a picture as good as you made me a cake. I'd love that, Emily said, her heart full. As the party wound down and parents arrived to collect overtired, sugar-crashed children, Emily helped clean up while Molly showed her grandmother her presents upstairs. Liam came up behind her as she was washing dishes, wrapping his arms around her waist. Thank you, he murmured into her hair. Today was perfect because you were here. I wouldn't have missed it, Emily said, leaning back against him. Molly's wish, Liam said quietly. I know what she wished for. You do? She told me last night what she was going to wish for. She wished that you'd stay with us forever, that you'd become part of our family for real. Emily turned in his arms, seeing the vulnerability and hope in his eyes. Liam, I know it's too soon to talk about forever, he said quickly. I'm not proposing or anything, but I needed you to know what's in my daughter's heart. What's in mine, too, if I'm honest. You fit with us, Emily, like you were always meant to be here. Emily reached up to cup his face, this man who'd chosen kindness in a cafe, and opened his life and daughter's heart to her. I'm not going anywhere. I promise. They kissed again, deeper this time, full of promise and possibility. Upstairs, Molly's laughter rang out, bright and joyous. Outside, the autumn sun painted everything golden. And in Liam's kitchen, surrounded by birthday mess and the remnants of a magical unicorn cake, two people who'd been set up as a joke discovered what it meant to be chosen for real. The universe had tried to make them a punchline. Instead, they'd written their own story, one built on kindness, respect, and the brave choice to see past surfaces to souls. And they were just getting started. Winter arrived early that year, transforming Maple Ridge into a snow globe of crystalline beauty by mid-November. The transformation mirrored what was happening in Emily's life, everything shifting from the familiar into something new and wonderful and occasionally terrifying in its intensity. She'd become a fixture in Liam and Molly's world, spending most weekends at their house and several weeknights when her schedule allowed. Her toothbrush had migrated to their bathroom without discussion, and a drawer in Liam's dresser had been quietly designated as hers. Small intimacies that spoke of permanence, of belonging, of a future they were building together one ordinary moment at a time. But with integration came complications neither had fully anticipated. It started innocently enough. Emily was helping Molly with homework one Wednesday evening while Liam finished dinner. The assignment was simple: draw your family and write their names. Molly had drawn 3 figures: herself, her daddy, and Emily, all holding hands under a smiling sun. That's beautiful, sweetie, Emily said, her throat tight with emotion. It's my family, Molly said matter-of-factly. Daddy, me, and you. That's what family means, people who love each other and stay together. Emily glanced toward the kitchen where Liam was stirring pasta, uncertain how to respond. They'd been together 3 months now. 3 incredible months, but still just 3 months. Was it too soon for Molly to see her as family? Was Emily sending the wrong signals by being so present? What about Grammy Carol? Emily suggested gently. She's family too. Oh, I need more paper. Molly immediately started drawing an expanded version, adding her grandmother, then pausing. What about your family, Emily? Where's your mom and dad? The question was innocent, but it hit a nerve Emily had carefully avoided examining. Her own family dynamics were complicated at best, painful at worst. Her parents lived 2 hours away in Riverside, and their relationship had always been strained by unspoken disappointments. Emily's weight, her lack of romantic relationships, her practical career instead of something more ambitious. My family lives a bit far away, Emily said carefully. Maybe they can be in a different picture. Don't you miss them? Molly pressed with the relentless curiosity of childhood. Sometimes, Emily admitted, which was both true and not true. She missed the idea of family, the warmth and unconditional love that should exist between parents and children. She didn't particularly miss the reality, the subtle criticisms, the comparisons to her sisters, the feeling of never quite measuring up. Liam appeared in the doorway, reading the tension in Emily's shoulders. "Dinner's ready. Go wash your hands, Molly Bug." As Molly scampered off, Liam sat beside Emily, examining the drawing. "This brought up stuff," he observed quietly. "My family isn't like yours," Emily said. "You have your mom who adores you and Molly, who bakes cookies and babysits and shows up with love and support. My parents—" She trailed off, struggling to articulate the complex emotions. "They're not bad people. They just never knew what to do with a daughter who didn't fit their expectations. I was supposed to be like my sisters, thin, married by 25, producing grandchildren on schedule. Instead, I'm the odd one out, the one they mention last at family gatherings, the one they apologize for to their friends." Liam said softly, taking her hand. "I haven't told them about you," Emily confessed in a rush. "About us? I know that's terrible, but I didn't want them to ruin this, to make comments or give me those looks that say they're surprised anyone would date me. I wanted to keep this pure, just ours, without their judgment contaminating it." Liam pulled her close, tucking her head under his chin. "You don't have to tell anyone before you're ready. But Emily, your parents' inability to see your worth isn't a reflection on you. It's a reflection on them." "I know that intellectually," Emily said. "But emotionally? I'm still that girl who heard her mother tell her aunt that maybe if Emily lost weight, she'd find someone. I'm still the daughter who overheard her father say it was good she was smart because she'd need a career since no man would take care of her." "Jesus," Liam breathed, anger and pain coloring his voice. "They actually said those things?" "Not to my face," Emily said with a bitter laugh. "That would be too direct. But I heard them. Multiple times, multiple ways. Little cutting comments wrapped in concern. 'We just want you to be healthy, dear. Have you thought about Weight Watchers? Maybe if you dress differently. It adds up. Year after year, it adds up.'" Molly returned then, chattering about soap bubbles, and they shifted into dinner mode. But the conversation lingered in the air between them, an invisible weight that needed addressing. Later, after Molly was asleep and Emily was preparing to head home, she still maintained her apartment, though she spent less time there each week. Liam stopped her at the door. "I want to meet them," he said. "Your parents. Not because I think you need their approval or validation, but because they're part of your story, and I want to know all of you." Emily felt panic flutter in her chest. "Liam, you don't understand. They'll say something. They always do. And I can't—" Her voice broke. "I can't watch them diminish what we have. I can't see you realize they're right about me." Liam grasped her shoulders gently but firmly. "Emily Warren, listen to me. There's nothing your parents could say that would change how I see you. You're brilliant, kind, talented, beautiful, and brave. You're an amazing partner, and you're incredible with Molly. If your parents can't see that, they're blind. But I'm not afraid of them." "I am," Emily whispered. "I know," Liam said. "And I'm not pushing. I'm just saying that whenever you're ready, I'll be there, standing beside you, backing you up, making sure they know exactly how extraordinary you are." Emily left that night with tears on her cheeks and warmth in her heart, marveling at how Liam consistently chose to see the best in her, even when she struggled to see it herself. The issue came to a head 2 weeks later when Emily's mother called unexpectedly. They spoke perhaps once a month, stilted conversations about weather and work, and nothing of substance. This time, her mother had news. "Your sister Jennifer is getting married," Margaret Warren announced. "Christmas engagement, spring wedding. She wanted you to know." Jennifer, the middle sister, 2 years younger than Emily, effortlessly thin and conventionally beautiful. Of course she was getting married. Jennifer had always done everything right. "That's wonderful," Emily said, injecting false enthusiasm into her voice. "Tell her congratulations." "The wedding will be in April here in Riverside. She's hoping you'll be a bridesmaid." The way her mother said it suggested Jennifer was doing Emily a favor by including her. "I'll check my schedule," Emily hedged. "Emily, she's your sister. Of course you'll be there." A pause, then, And you should bring someone. Your father and I worry that you're always alone at these events. It would be nice if you had a date for once. The casual cruelty of it, the assumption that Emily was perpetually alone, that having a date was some aspirational achievement she'd never reached. Emily felt anger rise in her throat. Actually, Mom, I am seeing someone. We've been together for several months. The surprise in her mother's voice was audible. Oh, well, that's wonderful, dear. What's his name? Liam. He's a manufacturing operator, a single father to a 6-year-old daughter named Molly. Silence stretched across the line, and Emily could practically hear her mother's thoughts rearranging, calculating how to respond to this information. A single father, Margaret finally said. Well, that's quite a responsibility to take on. Are you sure you're ready for that? Being involved with a man who has a child? I'm very sure, Emily said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Molly is wonderful, and Liam is the kindest, most genuine man I've ever met. I see. More silence. And is he aware of your situation? My situation? Emily asked, though she knew exactly what her mother meant. Your weight, Emily. I just hope you're not setting yourself up for disappointment. Men with children need someone who can keep up, who presents well to the school community. I'm just concerned he might realize. Stop, Emily interrupted, her voice shaking now. Just stop, Mom. Liam knows exactly who I am. He's seen me, really seen me, and he chooses me anyway. Every day he chooses me. And his daughter loves me. They make me feel valued and wanted and beautiful. So whatever concern you're about to express, whatever criticism you're packaging as care, I don't want to hear it. Emily, I'm your mother. I'm allowed to be concerned. Concern would be asking if I'm happy. Concern would be being excited that I found someone who treats me well. What you're doing is expressing doubt that I could be worthy of love. And I'm done accepting that from you. Emily ended the call before her mother could respond, her hands trembling, adrenaline flooding her system. She'd never spoken to her mother that way, had never stood up for herself so directly. It felt terrifying and liberating in equal measure. When Liam called that evening for their nightly conversation, Emily told him everything. About Jennifer's engagement, about her mother's comments, about the lifetime of casual cruelty disguised as concern. I'm proud of you, Liam said when she finished, for standing up for yourself, for not letting her diminish what we have. I told her about you and Molly, Emily said. I probably should have asked first. Why would you need to ask permission to tell people about us? Liam asked, confused. I don't know, what if this scares you off? What if meeting my family makes you realize I come with too much baggage? Emily, everyone comes with baggage. That's called being human. Your family doesn't define you. You define you, and I happen to think you're pretty damn amazing. Even with all my neuroses and insecurities? Especially with those, Liam said, because they're part of what makes you empathetic and kind. You understand what it feels like to be judged, so you don't judge others. That's not baggage. That's wisdom earned through pain. Emily felt tears slide down her cheeks, the good kind that came from being understood. How did I get so lucky to find you? Pretty sure we found each other, Liam said. And for the record, I want to meet your family, all of them. At Jennifer's wedding or before, whatever you're comfortable with, I want them to see us together, to see how happy you are, how loved you are. Let me be your champion, Em. Let me show them what they've been too blind to see. You really want to subject yourself to my family? I want to stand beside you, Liam corrected. Whatever that looks like. Besides, how bad can they be? Emily laughed despite herself. You're about to find out. They decided to visit Emily's family for Thanksgiving, which was only 2 weeks away. It would give them the holidays to get through the initial meeting before Jennifer's wedding in April. Emily was terrified, but Liam's steady confidence helped ground her. We'll go for the day, stay in a hotel that night, drive back Friday, Liam planned. That way we have an exit strategy if things get uncomfortable. And Molly will be with us, which means your family will be on better behavior. You're bringing Molly? Emily asked, surprised. She's part of our family, and honestly, she's excellent at diffusing tension. Hard to be overly critical when a 6-year-old is asking you to play dolls. Emily had to admit the strategy was sound. And maybe having Molly there would remind her parents that this relationship had real stakes, real people who could be hurt by careless words. The 2 weeks leading up to Thanksgiving passed in a blur of anxiety and preparation. Emily obsessed over what to bring, what to wear, how to present herself and her relationship in the best possible light. Jessica finally intervened with tough love. "You're acting like you're going to a job interview instead of visiting your own family," Jessica said, watching Emily try on her 5th outfit. "Babe, you need to stop trying to be someone they'll approve of and just be yourself. That's who Liam loves. That's who Molly adores. If your family can't see that, it's their loss." "Easy for you to say," Emily muttered. "Your family is normal." "My family is dysfunctional in different ways," Jessica countered. "But here's the thing, you get to choose your family as an adult. Liam and Molly, they're your chosen family. Your parents get the privilege of being included if they can behave themselves, not the other way around." The words resonated, giving Emily a new framework to approach the visit. She wasn't seeking approval. She was introducing the people she loved to the people who'd raised her. Big difference. Thanksgiving morning dawned cold and clear. They loaded into Liam's car at 7 a.m. for the 2-hour drive to Riverside, Molly chattering excitedly in the back seat about meeting Emily's family. "Will they have a dog?" Molly asked. "I really want them to have a dog." "No dog," Emily said, "but they have a garden with a bird feeder you can watch." "Birds are good too," Molly decided generously. "Almost as good as dogs." As they approached Emily's childhood neighborhood, neat suburban houses with manicured lawns and 2-car garages, Emily felt her anxiety spike. Liam reached over and squeezed her hand. "We've got this," he said quietly. "Together." The Warren house looked exactly as Emily remembered. Pale blue siding, white trim, everything precise and controlled. Her mother's car was in the driveway, along with vehicles belonging to her sisters. The whole family would be there. Perfect. "It's going to be fine," Emily whispered to herself like a mantra. "It's going to be fine." Margaret Warren opened the door before they could knock, her smile fixed and brittle. She was perfectly put together as always, not a hair out of place, makeup flawless, wearing a festive sweater that probably cost more than Emily's monthly grocery budget. "Emily, you're here!" Margaret's eyes swept over Emily in that familiar assessing way, then shifted to Liam and Molly. "And you must be Liam. And this is Molly?" "Nice to meet you, Mrs. Warren," Liam said, extending his hand with easy confidence. His handshake was firm, his smile genuine, and Emily watched her mother recalibrate slightly, clearly not expecting someone so put together. "Call me Margaret, please." She turned her attention to Molly. "And aren't you precious? Come in. Come in. Everyone's in the living room." The house smelled like turkey and pie, and the subtle lavender potpourri her mother kept in every room. Family photos lined the hallway. Emily's sisters featured prominently in various stages of life. Emily appeared less frequently, and usually in the back of group photos. In the living room, her father Paul stood by the fireplace talking to Jennifer's fiancé Mark. Her sisters Jennifer and Amanda sat on the couch with their respective partners. Everyone turned when Emily entered, and she felt like a specimen under glass. "Everyone, this is Liam Porter and his daughter Molly," Emily announced, her voice steadier than she felt. "Liam, Molly, this is my father Paul, my sisters Jennifer and Amanda, Jennifer's fiancé Mark, and Amanda's husband David." Handshakes and polite greetings followed. Emily watched her family assess Liam, his worn but clean jeans, his flannel shirt, his calloused hands that spoke of physical labor. She saw the calculation in her father's eyes, the subtle downturn of Amanda's mouth. They were judging him, finding him wanting by their standards of success and status. But then Molly stepped forward with the fearless confidence of childhood. "I'm 6 years old and I just lost 2 teeth. Want to see?" She demonstrated the gaps in her smile proudly. The tension broke slightly as everyone chuckled. Children had that effect, reminding adults that not everything needed to be complicated or fraught. "That's very impressive," Paul said, crouching down to Molly's level. "Did the tooth fairy come?" "She left me $2, Molly reported. "1 for each tooth. And Emily says when I lose more teeth, I can save up for something special. I want art supplies because I'm going to be an artist when I grow up. Or maybe a veterinarian, or a princess. I haven't decided yet. A princess veterinarian who makes art, Liam suggested with a smile. Dream big. Exactly, Daddy. Emily watched her father warm to Molly, saw the way her sister's partners relaxed slightly. Liam had been right. Molly was excellent at diffusing tension. But as they moved into the dining room for dinner, the subtle undermining began. Margaret seated everyone with clear hierarchy. Paul at the head, the married couples together, then Jennifer and Mark. Emily, Liam, and Molly were placed at the far end, as if they were junior varsity not quite ready for the main team. So Liam, Paul said as they passed dishes around, Emily mentioned you work in manufacturing. What exactly do you do? I'm a machine operator at Riverside Manufacturing, Liam said without shame or hesitation. I run the equipment that produces automotive parts. It's hot, loud work, but it's honest and it pays the bills. I see. Paul's tone suggested he didn't see it all, or rather, saw exactly what he expected, someone beneath his daughter's status. And you're raising a daughter alone? That must be challenging. It has its moments, Liam acknowledged, but Molly's the best thing that ever happened to me. We make it work. Where's her mother? Amanda asked with faux concern. If you don't mind me asking, Emily tensed, but Liam handled it smoothly. She left when Molly was 2, decided parenthood wasn't for her. It was difficult at first, but Molly and I have built a good life together. My mother helps when she can, and now we have Emily. He smiled at her across the table, his affection clear and unguarded. How modern, Margaret said with that particular tone that made something positive sound vaguely distasteful. Emily taking on someone else's child. That's quite generous of you, dear. I'm not taking on anything, Emily said firmly. Molly isn't a burden or an obligation. She's wonderful, and I care about her. She's part of why I care about Liam, because I see what an incredible father he is. Of course, Margaret said quickly. I didn't mean to suggest otherwise. It's just that at your age, Emily, I would have thought you'd want children of your own eventually. Being a stepmother from the start is quite different. There it was, the subtle knife, the implication that Emily was settling, accepting less than she deserved because she couldn't do better. Actually, Liam interjected before Emily could respond, his voice pleasant but with an edge of steel, I'd say Emily's getting a pretty great deal. She gets to skip diapers and sleepless newborn nights and goes straight to the fun stuff, tea parties and art projects and conversations with someone who has strong opinions about which color crayon is best for drawing dragons. Blue, Molly supplied helpfully. Blue is obviously best for dragons. Obviously, Liam agreed, then continued. And for the record, I'm the lucky one here. Emily walked into my life and Molly's and made everything better, brighter, fuller. I count my blessings every day that she gave us a chance. Emily felt tears prick her eyes. Across the table, Jennifer was watching with something that looked like envy, and Amanda seemed stunned into silence. Well, Paul said, clearly uncomfortable with open displays of emotion. That's very passionate. I believe in being honest about my feelings, Liam said simply. Life's too short to pretend otherwise. The meal continued with the conversation drifting to safer topics. Jennifer's wedding plans, Amanda's children who were with their other grandmother today, Paul's recent golf tournament. Molly entertained everyone with stories about school and her friends, her natural charisma winning over even the most skeptical family members. But during dessert, Margaret couldn't resist one more subtle dig. Emily, I noticed you're not eating pie. Are you finally trying to lose weight? That would be wonderful, dear, especially with the wedding photos coming up. The table went silent. Even Jennifer looked horrified by their mother's lack of tact. I'm not eating pie because I made a chocolate cake specifically for Molly and didn't want to fill up first, Emily said, her voice calm despite the rage and hurt swirling inside. And Mom, I need you to stop. Stop commenting on my weight. Stop suggesting I need to change. Stop implying that I'm somehow deficient as I am. I'm done accepting that from you. Emily, I'm just trying to help. No, Emily interrupted, standing up. You're not helping. You're hurting. You've been hurting me my entire life with these comments, and I've accepted it because I thought that's what daughters did. Let their mothers criticize them in the name of concern. But I'm not doing that anymore. She looked around the table at her family's shocked faces, then felt Liam's presence beside her as he stood too. Emily is perfect exactly as she is, Liam said quietly but forcefully. She's talented and intelligent and kind and beautiful. She's an incredible partner and an amazing bonus mother to my daughter. She bakes cakes that look like they belong in magazines. She makes spreadsheets dance. She shows up for people she cares about with her whole heart. If you can't see that, if you can't appreciate what an extraordinary person she is, then that's your loss. But we're not going to sit here and let you diminish her. Molly, sensing the tension, slipped her small hand into Emily's. Emily is the best, she declared with 6-year-old certainty. She's beautiful and nice, and she makes the best unicorn cakes in the whole world. And she loves me and Daddy. That's what matters. Emily looked down at Molly, then at Liam standing beside her with unwavering support, and felt something shift inside her. She'd spent 30 years seeking her parents' approval, trying to earn their love, attempting to become someone they could be proud of. But she'd already found people who were proud of her exactly as she was.
I think we should go, Emily said quietly. Emily, you're being dramatic, Margaret protested. I didn't mean— Yes, you did, Emily interrupted. You always mean it, Mom. That's the problem. And I'm done making excuses for it or pretending it doesn't hurt. She turned to her sisters. Jennifer, congratulations on your engagement. I hope your wedding is beautiful. Amanda, it was good to see you and David. Dad— She paused, looking at her father, who'd remained silent through everything. I wish you'd stood up for me. Just once. Paul's face reddened, but he said nothing. They gathered their coats in tense silence. Emily retrieved the chocolate cake she'd made from the kitchen. There was no way she was leaving it in this house now. As they headed for the door, Jennifer caught Emily's arm. I'm sorry, she whispered. About Mom. About everything. You're right, and I should have said something years ago. You deserve better. Emily managed a tight smile. Thanks, Jen. I'll be at your wedding, but maybe keep Mom away from the microphone during toasts. The drive back to Maple Ridge was quiet at first. Molly dozed in her car seat, exhausted from the day's emotional intensity. Finally, Emily broke the silence. I'm sorry you had to see that you had to defend me like that. Don't apologize, Liam said firmly. I meant every word. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Your family. He shook his head. They have no idea what they're missing out on. My mother's been like that my whole life, Emily said. I keep hoping she'll change, that she'll wake up one day and realize what she's been doing, but she won't, will she? Probably not, Liam said honestly. Some people can't see past their own narrow definition of what's acceptable or valuable. But Em, you don't need her approval. You never did. I wanted it though, Emily admitted, tears finally falling. I wanted my mother to be proud of me, to tell her friends about my accomplishments instead of making excuses for my existence. I wanted what other daughters have, unconditional love and support. Liam reached over and squeezed her hand. You have that. From me. From Molly. From people who actually matter. Your mother's love came with conditions that were impossible to meet. That's not love. That's control. You deserve so much better. They stopped at a hotel as planned, getting a room with 2 beds so Molly could sleep comfortably. While Molly watched cartoons, Emily and Liam sat on the small balcony, Emily wrapped in Liam's arms against the cold November night. Thank you, she whispered, for standing up for me, for seeing me when my own family can't. Always, Liam promised. Em, I need to tell you something. Today, watching you stand up to your mother, seeing your strength and courage, I fell even more in love with you, because you weren't doing it for me or for Molly. You were doing it for yourself. You decided you were worth defending, worth fighting for. That's powerful. Emily turned in his arms, looking up at him in the dim light. You love me? I love you, Liam confirmed without hesitation. I have for weeks, but I didn't want to push or scare you. But after today, after watching you claim your worth, I need you to know. I love you, Emily Warren. All of you. Your kindness, your talent, your vulnerability, your strength. The way you laugh at Molly's terrible jokes, and the way you hum when you're concentrating. I love how you make our house feel like home. I love you. Emily kissed him,
pouring every emotion she couldn't articulate into that contact: gratitude, love, hope, and the overwhelming relief of being seen and chosen and cherished exactly as she was. "I love you too," she whispered against his lips. "I love you and Molly so much it scares me sometimes. You've given me a family I never knew I could have, a place I belong." They held each other as the temperature dropped and stars emerged overhead. Two people who'd been set up as a cruel joke, discovering that love wasn't about meeting external standards or earning approval. Love was about choosing each other, standing beside each other, and refusing to let the world's cruelty define their worth. Inside, Molly stirred and called out sleepily, "Emily? Daddy? Where are you?" They went inside to comfort her, tucking her back into bed with soft reassurances. As Molly drifted back to sleep, she murmured, "I'm glad we left, Emily. Those people were being mean to you. We don't let people be mean to our family." Emily kissed her forehead, tears streaming down her face. "The good kind. The healing kind." "No, sweet girl. We don't." Later, lying in bed with Liam's arms around her and Molly's soft breathing audible from the other bed, Emily realized something profound. She'd spent her whole life trying to earn love from people who couldn't give it freely, but she'd stumbled into love with people who gave it without hesitation, without conditions, without limits. The prank at Common Grounds was supposed to humiliate her. Instead, it led her here, to this hotel room, to this man, to this child, to this family. To people who saw her worth when she struggled to see it herself. To love that didn't demand she be smaller or quieter or different. She'd walked into that cafe expecting the worst, and somehow, against all odds, she'd found the absolute best. Not despite the cruelty, but perhaps because of it, because shared pain had opened their hearts to recognize kindness when it appeared, because being underestimated and dismissed gave them both the empathy to truly see each other. As Emily drifted towards sleep, she whispered one more time, "I love you." "I love you too," Liam whispered back. "Always." And in that moment, despite the day's pain and confrontation, Emily felt something she'd rarely experienced in her parents' house. She felt safe. She felt valued. She felt loved. She felt like she'd finally come home. The weeks following Thanksgiving brought a shift in their relationship, not dramatic or sudden, but profound in its quiet certainty. Having said "I love you," having stood together against her family's judgment, Emily and Liam found themselves moving from the tentative stages of new love into something deeper and more permanent. December arrived with its chaos of holiday preparations, and Emily found herself swept into the Porter family traditions with enthusiastic welcome. Carol insisted Emily join them for their annual tree decorating, an event that apparently involved more hot chocolate than was medically advisable, and Molly's insistence on putting ornaments only on the lower branches she could reach. "Grammy, tell Emily about the pickle ornament," Molly demanded, bouncing with excitement. "The pickle ornament is a family tradition," Carol explained, pulling out a green glass pickle from the box of decorations. Once we hide it somewhere on the tree, and whoever finds it first on Christmas morning gets an extra present." "I always find it," Molly declared with the confidence of someone who'd won twice in her short memory. "That's because Daddy's terrible at hiding things," Liam said, earning an indignant protest from his daughter. Emily watched them banter, feeling the warmth of belonging settle around her like a favorite sweater. This was what family was supposed to feel like: easy laughter, gentle teasing, unconditional acceptance. Carol caught her eye and smiled, a knowing look that said she understood exactly what Emily was thinking. Later, while Molly was distracted arranging her stuffed animals under the tree. "So they can see it too," Carol pulled Emily aside in the kitchen. "I want you to know something," Carol said quietly, her hands busy preparing another batch of hot chocolate, though no one had asked for it. "I see the way my son looks at you. I haven't seen him this happy since before Sarah left. Maybe not even then, if I'm honest." Emily felt her throat tighten. "He makes me happy too. They both do. I know they do. I can see it in you. You're lighter now than when we first met, more confident." Carol paused, choosing her words carefully. "Liam told me about Thanksgiving, about your mother." "Oh." Emily felt embarrassment flush her cheeks. "I'm sorry you had to hear about that." "Don't apologize," Carol said firmly.
I wanted to tell you that I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. And I want you to know that you have a place in this family now, if you want it. Not because you're dating my son, but because you're you, kind, thoughtful, wonderful with Molly. We're lucky to have you. The tears came before Emily could stop them. Thank you, she managed. You have no idea how much that means to me. Carol hugged her tightly, and it felt like the mother's embrace Emily had always wanted but never quite received. When they pulled apart, Carol was smiling through her own tears. Now, let's get this cocoa finished before Molly stages a mutiny. She takes her hot chocolate very seriously. As Christmas approached, Emily threw herself into making the season special. She baked cookies with Molly, sugar cookies cut into shapes and decorated with alarming amounts of frosting and sprinkles. She helped Liam pick out presents for his daughter, offering insights on what a 6-year-old girl might truly treasure versus what parents thought they should treasure. Trust me, Emily said, steering Liam away from an educational tablet. She'll play with it twice and then it'll collect dust. Get her the art easel and the dress-up clothes. She'll use those every day. You're sure? Liam asked, eyeing the tablet with the desperation of a parent trying to justify screen time as educational.
Positive. Molly's creative and imaginative. Feed that, not the urge to park her in front of a screen when you need 5 minutes of peace. Liam laughed. You know me too well already. I know you're an incredible dad who wants the best for his daughter. Sometimes the best is the simple stuff, time and attention and space to be creative. They were at the toy store on a Wednesday evening, having dropped Molly at Carol's for a special Grammy sleepover that was really just an excuse to shop without curious eyes. The store was packed with harried parents and screaming children, Christmas music playing at aggressive volumes, but walking through it hand in hand with Liam felt romantic somehow. Can I ask you something? Liam said as they stood in the checkout line, their cart full of art supplies and costume jewelry and a stuffed unicorn that had called to Emily from across the store. Of course. What do you want for Christmas? When Emily started to protest, Liam held up a hand. Don't say nothing. Don't say you don't need anything. I want to get you something meaningful, and I need help. Tell me what would make you happy. Emily thought about it seriously. What did she want? Not things, really. She had enough things. What she wanted was less tangible, harder to wrap. Honestly, she said slowly, I want a day. Just the 3 of us. No obligations, no schedule, no pressure. Maybe we make breakfast together and watch Christmas movies in our pajamas all day. Play board games, build a blanket fort with Molly. Just be together. That's what I want. Liam's smile was soft and full of love. That's the easiest gift I've ever been asked to give. But I'm still getting you something to unwrap. Keep thinking. 2 days before Christmas, Jessica cornered Emily in their shared apartment with the serious expression that usually preceded important conversations. We need to talk about living situations, Jessica said without preamble. Emily's heart sank. Are you moving out? Is the rent too much? I can cover more if you need. Stop. I'm not moving out. You are. What? Jessica sat beside her on the couch, taking her hands. Babe, you haven't slept here more than 2 nights a week since September. Most of your clothes are at Liam's. You're building a life with them, and that's beautiful. But you're still paying rent here for a room you barely use. It doesn't make financial or emotional sense. I can't just move in with them, Emily protested, even as part of her thrilled at the possibility. We've only been together 5 months. That's too fast. Says who? Jessica challenged. Look, I'm not saying you have to decide today, but think about it. Really think about it. Where do you feel most at home? Where do you want to be when you wake up in the morning? Who do you want building blanket forts with? Emily knew the answer immediately. She'd known for weeks but had been afraid to acknowledge it, afraid that wanting to move forward was somehow desperate or too much. I want to be with them, she admitted quietly. I want to wake up next to Liam every morning. I want to help Molly get ready for school and pack her lunches with silly notes. I want to be there for bedtime stories and weekend pancakes and all the ordinary moments that make a family. Then tell him that, Jessica said simply. What's the worst that could happen? He could think I'm moving too fast, that I'm being clingy or presumptuous. Or, Jessica countered, he could be relieved that you want what he wants. That man looks at you like you hung the moon.
I'd bet my next paycheck he's been working up the courage to ask you to move in, but didn't want to pressure you.
The conversation stayed with Emily through Christmas Eve. Liam had invited her to spend the night so she could be there when Molly woke up Christmas morning. "You're family now," he'd said simply, as if it were obvious. And as Emily packed her overnight bag, she found herself packing more than she needed. Extra clothes, toiletries, the book she was reading, building a case for staying longer, for staying permanently. Christmas Eve at the Porter house was magic. They drove through neighborhoods looking at lights, Molly providing enthusiastic commentary on each display. They came home to hot cocoa and Christmas cookies, to reading The Night Before Christmas, with Molly's dramatic interpretations. They set out cookies for Santa and carrots for the reindeer, Molly insisting on the good cookies, not the burnt ones from their baking attempts. After Molly was finally, reluctantly, in bed, Emily and Liam collapsed on the couch in the living room, lit only by the glow of the Christmas tree. The house was quiet except for the soft hum of the heater and distant sounds of Molly settling down. "She's never going to sleep," Liam predicted. "Too excited. Give her 20 minutes. She'll crash hard." They sat in comfortable silence, Emily's head on Liam's shoulder, his arm around her waist. It felt perfectly natural, perfectly right. This was home. "Liam," Emily said softly, "can I ask you something?" "Always." "How would you feel about me moving in? Actually moving in, not just spending most nights here, making this official?" She felt Liam's body tense with surprise, then felt him shift so he could see her face. "Are you serious?" "Very serious, unless you think it's too fast, which I'd completely understand." "Too fast?" Liam interrupted with a laugh. I've been trying to figure out how to ask you for weeks. I didn't want to pressure you, didn't want you to feel obligated because you spend so much time here anyway. But God, yes, I want you to move in. I want this to be your home, officially. I want your clothes in my closet and your books on the shelves and your terrible reality TV shows recorded on our DVR. "They're not terrible," Emily protested, laughing through sudden tears. "They're culturally significant." "They're terrible," Liam said affectionately, pulling her close. "And I want to make fun of them while you watch them. I want all of it, Em, the mundane and the magical, the boring Tuesdays and the special occasions. I want to build a life with you." They kissed, deep and slow and full of promise. When they pulled apart, Emily was crying in earnest now, the good tears that came from joy too big to contain. "I'll tell Jessica after Christmas," Emily said. "Figure out the logistics. Maybe be fully moved in by New Year's?" "Perfect," Liam said. "Though I'm warning you now, Molly's going to lose her mind with excitement. She's been asking when you're going to live here permanently since Halloween." "She has?" "She has. She's already planning which drawer you get in her bathroom for your girl stuff, and how we need to rearrange the living room so you have space for your baking supplies." Emily laughed, wiping at her tears. "She's thought this through. She's 6. She thinks everything through with the seriousness of a military general planning an invasion." On Christmas morning, Molly's shriek of joy woke them before the alarm. She burst into Liam's room at 6:47 a.m., launching herself onto the bed with no regard for anyone still sleeping. "It's Christmas! Santa came! I saw him through my window and he waved at me and the reindeer ate all the carrots." The words tumbled over each other in her excitement. "Did you actually see him or did you dream it?" Liam asked groggily. "Daddy, I told you, I saw him. He had a red suit and everything. Emily, you have to come see what he brought." They stumbled downstairs, Emily grateful she'd thought to pack decent pajamas. The living room was transformed, presents under the tree, stockings bulging with treats, and evidence of Santa's visit in the form of cookie crumbs, and a note written in suspiciously adult handwriting thanking Molly for the snacks. The next hour was joyful chaos. Molly tore through her presents with enthusiastic abandon, declaring each one the best present ever before moving to the next. The art easel was a massive hit, as was the dress-up trunk full of costumes. Emily had contributed several items secretly, paints and brushes, a beginner's book on drawing animals, a sparkly crown that Molly immediately placed on her head and refused to remove. "Your turn, Emily," Molly announced, dragging her to the tree. "Santa brought you presents, too." "He did?" Emily asked, catching Liam's eye. He smiled innocently.
There were several boxes with her name on them, practical things, a beautiful set of professional baking tools, a cookbook she'd mentioned wanting. But the last box was small and wrapped in silver paper with the elaborate bow. Emily's hands trembled slightly as she unwrapped it. Inside was a delicate silver necklace with 3 interlocking circles, each circle engraved with initials, L-E-M. "It's us," Molly explained unnecessarily, crowding close to see. "You and Daddy and me, all connected together because we're a family." Emily couldn't speak through the tears. She just held the necklace, looking at Liam, who was watching her with tender emotion. "I wanted you to have something that showed you belong here," Liam said softly. "That you're part of us, that we're part of you. 3 separate people who make one family." "It's perfect," Emily managed, her voice breaking. "Help me put it on?" Liam clasped the necklace around her throat, his fingers gentle on her skin. Emily touched the circles, feeling their weight and meaning. "Now you match us," Molly declared with satisfaction, then noticed another present she'd missed and was off again, her attention span as fleeting as always. Liam pulled Emily close, kissing her forehead. "Merry Christmas, love." "Merry Christmas," Emily whispered back, her fingers still touching the necklace. She'd never received a gift that meant so much, not because it was expensive, though the craftsmanship was beautiful, but because it represented everything she'd always wanted: belonging, family, love that included her in its definition of us. They spent Christmas Day exactly as Emily had wished, in pajamas, making an elaborate breakfast together that mostly resulted in Molly eating chocolate chips directly from the bag while Emily and Liam pretended not to notice. They watched Christmas movies and built an elaborate blanket fort that took over the entire living room. They played board games where Molly made up her own rules that changed whenever she was losing. Carol came over for dinner bringing a ham and her famous scalloped potatoes. She noticed Emily's necklace immediately and smiled knowingly. "It's beautiful, dear," she said, hugging Emily tight. "Welcome to the family, officially." Over dinner, Emily announced her plans to move in. Molly's reaction was everything they'd predicted, a scream of pure joy followed by jumping up and down and demanding to know when they could move Emily's cake stuff into the kitchen. "Probably next week," Emily said, laughing. "I need to pack everything first." "I'll help," Molly volunteered. "I'm very good at packing. I packed my own backpack for school once." "You put 3 stuffed animals and no actual school supplies in it," Liam reminded her. "But I packed it very well," Molly insisted with dignity that would have been impressive if she didn't have chocolate on her face. The week between Christmas and New Year's was a whirlwind of packing and moving. Jessica helped, alternating between being happy for Emily and pretending to be devastated. "Who's going to watch terrible TV with me?" Jessica demanded, carefully wrapping Emily's collection of cake stands. "You can visit any time," Emily promised, "and we'll still have girls' nights. I'm not disappearing, just moving." "You better not disappear. I need someone to balance out my crazy." "Your crazy is what makes you wonderful." By New Year's Eve, Emily's belongings were integrated into the Porter household. Her clothes hung in Liam's closet, their closet now. Her books filled the empty shelves. Her baking supplies had taken over an entire cabinet in the kitchen, meticulously organized in a way that made Liam joke about her accountant brain needing order. They decided on a quiet New Year's celebration, dinner at home, watching the ball drop on TV, then putting Molly to bed before having their own private celebration. Simple, domestic, perfect. Emily was in the kitchen checking on the roast when she heard voices in the living room. She walked in to find Molly on Liam's lap, having what looked like a serious conversation. "But what if she leaves like Mommy Sarah did?" Molly was asking, her voice small and worried in a way that made Emily's heart clench. Liam hadn't seen Emily yet. He hugged Molly close, his voice gentle but firm. "Emily is nothing like Sarah. Emily chose us, chose you, knowing exactly who we are. She sees all our weird and wonderful parts and loves us anyway." "But how do you know?" Molly persisted, the question carrying the weight of abandonment trauma no 6-year-old should understand. "Because I see how she looks at you," Liam said, "the way her whole face lights up when you talk. The way she listens to every story and opinion like it's the most important thing in the world. The way she shows up every single day because she wants to be here. That's not something someone fakes, baby girl. That's love. Real, genuine, staying forever love. Emily's eyes filled with tears. She made a soft sound, and both Liam and Molly turned to see her standing in the doorway. Emily? Molly's face crumpled. I didn't mean... Emily crossed the room quickly, kneeling in front of Molly. Sweetheart, it's okay to be worried. It's okay to be scared. Your mommy Sarah left and that hurt you. That was wrong of her, and I'm so sorry you had to experience that. Are you going to leave too? Molly asked in a tiny voice. No, Emily said firmly, taking Molly's small hands in hers. I'm not leaving. I chose to move in here because I want to be with you and your daddy, because you make me laugh. And you're the bravest, most creative, most wonderful kid I've ever met, because this... She gestured around them at the house that was now their home. This is where I belong. Promise? Molly asked. I promise, Emily said. And you know what? If you ever feel scared or worried about me leaving, you tell me, right away. We'll talk about it, and I'll remind you that I'm staying, because families talk to each other. They don't run away when things get hard. Molly launched herself at Emily, hugging her fiercely. I love you, Emily, so much. I love you too, Princess. So much. Over Molly's head, Emily met Liam's eyes. He mouthed, thank you. And Emily knew he wasn't just thanking her for handling the moment well. He was thanking her for staying, for choosing them, for building this family together. Later that night, after Molly was asleep and they were curled together on the couch watching the countdown to midnight, Liam turned to Emily with an expression that was both nervous and determined. I need to tell you something, he said. Emily's heart skipped. Okay. I know we're just moving in together. I know by conventional standards, we're moving fast. 5 months isn't very long. But Em, I also know that when something's right, it's right. And you're right. You're so incredibly right for me, for Molly, for this life we're building. Liam, let me finish, he said gently. I'm not proposing, not yet. I want to do this right. Want us to have time to build our foundation solid and strong. But I need you to know that when I think about my future, you're in every image. Every plan includes you. I see us growing old together, see Molly bringing her own kids to visit us someday, see decades of ordinary days and extraordinary moments. I see forever, Emily. With you. Emily was crying again, seemed like she'd spent half this week crying. I see forever too, she whispered. I never thought I'd find this. Find you, find a family that chose me. But here we are. Here we are, Liam echoed, pulling her close. On the TV, the countdown began. 10, 9, 8. The crowd in Times Square cheered, their voices distant and unimportant compared to the warmth of this moment. 7, 6, 5. Emily thought about where she'd been a year ago, lonely in her apartment, convinced she was unlovable, resigned to a life of being the punchline. 4, 3, 2. She thought about a cafe, a cruel prank, a kind man who'd chosen to see her humanity instead of her humiliation. 1. The ball dropped. Fireworks exploded on screen. The new year arrived, and Liam kissed her like she was precious, like she was chosen, like she was loved. Because she was all those things and more. Happy New Year, Em, he murmured against her lips. Happy New Year, she whispered back. Upstairs, Molly slept peacefully, secure in the knowledge that her family was complete. In the living room, two people who'd been meant to be a joke held each other and marveled at how wrong cruel people could be. Because love wasn't a joke. Family wasn't a punchline. And sometimes, despite everything, despite cruelty and judgment and pain, kindness won. Sometimes two broken people found each other and built something whole. Sometimes a little girl got the mother she deserved. Sometimes a single dad found a partner who saw his struggle as strength. Sometimes a woman who'd been told she was unlovable discovered she was, in fact, deeply loved. And sometimes, just sometimes, the best things in life started with someone choosing kindness when the world expected cruelty. As the new year stretched before them, full of possibility and promise, Emily touched the necklace at her throat. 3 interlocking circles representing 3 interconnected lives. She was home. Finally. Completely, beautifully home. And she was never leaving. Spring arrived in Maple Ridge with the gentle insistence of renewal,
transforming the gray winter landscape into something alive and vibrant. For Emily, the season felt symbolic. She was blooming too, growing into a version of herself she'd never imagined possible. Living with Liam and Molly had settled into a rhythm that felt both extraordinary and beautifully ordinary, the kind of everyday magic that built lasting happiness. But Jennifer's wedding loomed on the calendar like a storm cloud on an otherwise clear horizon. April 20th. Just 3 weeks away now. Emily had received the bridesmaid dress, a pale pink confection that actually fit reasonably well, which surprised her, and detailed instructions about hair, makeup, and the rehearsal dinner schedule. What she hadn't received was any acknowledgement from her mother about their Thanksgiving confrontation. Maybe she's forgotten about it, Emily suggested, hopefully, one evening as she and Liam prepared dinner while Molly did homework at the kitchen table. Or maybe she's waiting to ambush you at the wedding, Liam said, chopping vegetables with the methodical precision of someone who'd learned to cook through necessity. Either way, we're going together. You're not facing them alone. About that, Emily said hesitantly. The invitation is just for me, plus one, which technically includes you, but Molly is staying with Grammy Carol for the weekend, Liam finished. Already arranged. This is your sister's wedding, Em. We're presenting a united front, and we're showing your family exactly how happy and loved you are. Emily kissed his cheek gratefully. What did I do to deserve you? You walked into a cafe and chose to stay, Liam said simply. That's all it took. Gross, Molly announced from the table, not looking up from her math worksheet. You guys are being mushy again. I'm trying to do division here. I need to concentrate. Sorry, Princess, Liam called back, but he was grinning. The weeks passed too quickly. Emily threw herself into work, into perfecting a new cake recipe, into helping Molly prepare for her school's spring concert, where she'd be singing a solo that she practiced approximately 400 times per day. Normal life, punctuated by moments of anxiety about the upcoming wedding. The Thursday before they were set to leave, Emily received a phone call from Jennifer. They'd spoken only briefly since Thanksgiving, polite, surface-level conversations that carefully avoided mentioning their mother or the confrontation. Em, I need to tell you something, Jennifer said without preamble. Mom's been difficult about the wedding, about you. Emily's stomach dropped. What do you mean? She's been making comments about your dress size, about whether you'll fit in the pictures, about whether Liam is presentable enough for our family. Jennifer's voice was tight with anger. I shut her down every time, but I wanted you to know before you got here. I won't let her ruin my wedding or hurt you. Not again. Emily felt tears prick her eyes, but they were the good kind. Thank you, Jen. That means everything. You're my sister, Jennifer said fiercely. I should have stood up for you years ago. I'm not making that mistake anymore. And Em, I'm glad you found Liam. From what I saw at Thanksgiving, he's exactly what you deserve. Someone who sees how incredible you are. After they hung up, Emily sat with her phone in her hand, processing this unexpected solidarity. Liam found her that way, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Everything okay? He asked. Jennifer warned me about my mother, and then she said she has my back. Emily leaned into him. I think my sister and I might actually become friends after all these years. Good, Liam said. You deserve family who treats you well. And if they don't, you've got us. Always. Friday afternoon, they loaded the car for the 2-hour drive to Riverside. Molly extracted promises that they'd bring her back wedding cake and take lots of pictures, then hugged Emily fiercely. You look so beautiful, Molly declared, examining Emily's outfit, nice jeans and a blouse for the drive, with her bridesmaid dress hanging carefully in the back. Like a princess going to a ball. The wedding's not until tomorrow, sweetheart, Emily laughed. I know, but you're going to a ball, so that means you're going to look like a princess when you get there. It's science. Can't argue with that logic, Liam said, ruffling his daughter's hair. Be good for Grammy, okay? No trying to eat ice cream for dinner again. That was one time, Daddy. The drive to Riverside was comfortable, filled with easy conversation and Liam's terrible singing along to the radio that made Emily laugh until her sides hurt. But as they got closer, Emily felt anxiety creeping back in. We can turn around, Liam offered, reading her tension. We don't have to do this. No, Emily said firmly. Jennifer's counting on me. And I want to show my mother especially, that I'm not the same person who apologized for existing. I'm done shrinking myself to make them comfortable. That's my girl, Liam said proudly, taking her hand. They checked into a hotel near the venue, a picturesque inn with gardens that would serve as the ceremony backdrop. The rehearsal dinner was scheduled for 6 p.m. Emily changed into a dress she'd bought specifically for this moment, deep blue that hugged her curves in ways that made her feel confident rather than self-conscious. Liam wore slacks and a button-down that made him look sophisticated and handsome, and when he saw Emily, his expression made her feel beautiful. "Wow," he breathed. "Em, you're stunning." "Yeah?" She smoothed the dress self-consciously. "Absolutely stunning," he confirmed, pulling her close. "And I'm the luckiest man in the world to walk in there with you on my arm." The rehearsal dinner was being held at an upscale restaurant downtown. Emily's anxiety spiked as they entered, but Liam's steady presence beside her, his hand on the small of her back, helped ground her. The private room was already filling with guests. Family members Emily hadn't seen in years, Jennifer's friends, Mark's relatives. Jennifer spotted them immediately and rushed over, looking radiant in a cocktail dress, her happiness evident despite the stress of wedding preparations. "You came," she exclaimed, hugging Emily tightly. "I'm so glad. And Liam, good to see you again." "Congratulations," Liam said warmly. "This is exciting." "Terrifying," Jennifer corrected with a laugh. "But exciting too. Come on, let me introduce you around before Mom corners you." The next hour was a blur of introductions and polite conversation. Emily's extended family was largely pleasant, her aunts and uncles expressing genuine interest in her life, her work, her relationship. Her sister Amanda approached with what seemed like genuine warmth. "Em, you look great," Amanda said, "and I owe you an apology for Thanksgiving. I should have said something when Mom was being awful. I'm sorry." "Thank you," Emily said, surprised but grateful. "That means a lot." "David and I have been talking about it," Amanda continued, glancing at her husband who nodded in agreement. "About how we enable Mom's behavior by staying silent. We're trying to do better. Families should support each other, not tear each other down." It was Margaret, inevitably, who brought the tension. She appeared beside them with the predatory smile Emily knew meant trouble. "Emily, there you are," Margaret said, her eyes sweeping over Emily's dress with barely concealed disapproval. "That's quite a bold choice. Blue is Jennifer's color, you know. I hope you don't outshine the bride." The comment was designed to cut, implying Emily's dress was inappropriate while simultaneously suggesting she could never possibly outshine anyone. But before Emily could respond, Liam stepped forward smoothly. "I think Emily looks absolutely beautiful," he said pleasantly, but with steel underneath. "And I'm sure Jennifer appreciates having such a lovely bridesmaid. Right, Jennifer?" Jennifer, who'd witnessed the exchange, jumped in. "Absolutely. Em, you look amazing. That color is perfect on you." Margaret's smile tightened. "Of course, dear. I just meant—" "We know what you meant, Mom," Amanda interrupted quietly. "Maybe we could focus on celebrating Jennifer today instead of criticizing Emily." Margaret looked shocked that both her daughters were pushing back. She opened her mouth, closed it, then excused herself with stiff dignity. Emily felt like she might cry. Her sisters, had defended her, against their mother, in public. "Thank you," she whispered to both of them. "About time," Jennifer said, squeezing her hand. "Now come on, I want you to meet Mark's family. They're actually normal, unlike ours." The evening improved from there. Mark's family was warm and welcoming, his mother particularly charming as she shared embarrassing stories about her son. Emily found herself relaxing, laughing genuinely, holding Liam's hand under the table and feeling grateful he was there. During the toasts, Jennifer's maid of honor shared sweet stories about their friendship. Then Amanda stood, champagne glass in hand. "I want to say something about my sisters," Amanda began, her voice slightly shaky with emotion. "Growing up, I always looked up to them. Jennifer with her confidence and style, Emily with her intelligence and creativity. But somewhere along the way, I forgot to tell Emily how much I admired her, how much her strength impressed me, especially when life wasn't easy." She looked directly at Emily. "You've always been extraordinary, Em, and I'm sorry it took me so long to say it out loud.
I'm proud to be your sister." Emily was crying openly now, not caring who saw. Liam handed her his handkerchief, and Jennifer reached across the table to squeeze her other hand. The evening wound down with coffee and dessert, with mingling and laughter. As people began to leave, Emily's father approached, something he'd avoided doing all night. "Emily," Paul said awkwardly, "can we talk? Just for a moment?" Emily glanced at Liam, who nodded encouragingly. They stepped out to the restaurant's patio, the spring night cool and fragrant with blooming flowers. "I owe you an apology," Paul said without preamble. "For Thanksgiving, for not standing up for you when your mother was being cruel, for years of silence when I should have spoken up." Emily waited, not making this easy for him. "Your mother and we have different ideas about a lot of things. She's always been focused on appearances, on what the neighbors think, on everyone fitting into neat boxes. I'm not excusing her behavior," he added quickly. "Just trying to explain it. But that doesn't make it right, and I should have protected you from it." "Why didn't you?" Emily asked, her voice steady despite the emotion underneath. "Cowardice mostly," Paul admitted with painful honesty. "It's easier to stay quiet than to fight. Easier to keep the peace than to stand up for what's right. But watching you at Thanksgiving, watching you defend yourself and demand respect, I was proud of you and ashamed of myself." "I'm not looking for your approval anymore, Dad," Emily said quietly. "I spent 30 years trying to earn it. I'm done with that now. I have people who love me exactly as I am, who see my worth without me having to prove it." "I know," Paul said. "And you should have always had that from me. From us. I can't undo the past, Emily, but I'd like to try to do better going forward, if you'll let me." Emily studied her father, really looked at him for the first time in years. She saw a man who'd chosen the easy path of silence and was finally recognizing the cost. She saw regret and the tentative hope for redemption. "I'm willing to try," Emily said finally. "But Dad, if Mom starts in with the criticism and judgment, I'm done. I won't put up with it anymore. Not from her, not from anyone. I deserve better than that." "You do," Paul agreed. "And I'll do my best to make sure she understands that. No promises. Your mother is stubborn, but I'll try." It wasn't a perfect reconciliation, but it was a start. Emily went back inside feeling lighter, feeling like maybe, finally, her family was beginning to see her. The wedding day dawned clear and beautiful, one of those perfect spring mornings that seemed designed for celebrations. Emily was up early for bridesmaid duties, hair, makeup, helping Jennifer into her dress. The bride was radiant, glowing with happiness and only minimal nervousness. "You're going to be stunning," Emily assured her as she helped button the intricate back of the wedding gown. "Mark's going to cry when he sees you." "I hope so," Jennifer said with a laugh. "I'm definitely crying already. Look at this." She showed Emily her phone, a text from Mark that simply said, "Can't wait to marry you. You're my everything." "That's beautiful," Emily said, feeling her own eyes tear up. "He is pretty great," Jennifer admitted. "Em, I want to say something. Watching you with Liam yesterday, seeing how he looks at you, how you are together, it made me realize that's what love should look like. Supportive and equal and genuine. You found something really special." "I have," Emily agreed softly. "I really have." The ceremony was beautiful, held in the garden under an arch covered in flowers. Emily stood with the other bridesmaids, watching Jennifer and Mark exchange vows that they'd written themselves, promises of partnership, respect, unwavering support. She caught Liam's eye in the audience, and the look he gave her was full of love and promise, as if to say, "Someday, that'll be us." At the reception, Emily and Liam were seated at a table with some of Jennifer's college friends, thankfully far from Margaret. They enjoyed dinner and speeches, and when the dancing started, Liam pulled Emily onto the floor without hesitation. "I'm not a great dancer," Emily warned. "Neither am I," Liam said, pulling her close. "Let's be not great together." They swayed to the music, and Emily felt a profound sense of peace. This was what belonging felt like. Not proving herself or earning acceptance, but simply being seen and chosen and loved. "Emily!" Molly's voice burst through the speaker system, shocking everyone. Emily turned to see Molly on the stage by the DJ booth, Carol trying frantically to get her down. Somehow her daughter had gotten hold of a microphone. "Emily!"
Molly repeated, delighted by the amplification. I'm supposed to be with Grammy, but she was distracted and I wanted to tell everyone that you're the best and you make really good cakes and I love you so much. The room erupted in laughter. Liam groaned, but Emily was laughing too hard to be embarrassed. Carol finally retrieved Molly, looking mortified, but Jennifer was clapping and the other guests were charmed rather than upset.
I'm so sorry, Carol said, rushing over with a grinning Molly. She was supposed to stay home, but she begged to see you in your princess dress, and then she saw the microphone and— It's fine, Emily laughed, taking Molly from Carol. You sneak. What are you doing here? I missed you, Molly said simply, and Grammy said you looked beautiful, and I wanted to see. Do you forgive me? Always, Emily said, hugging her, but no more stealing microphones, okay? Okay, can I have cake now? Jennifer appeared beside them, laughing. She's adorable. And she's right, you are the best. Here. She handed Molly a plate with an enormous slice of wedding cake. For the girl with the microphone. You're my favorite bride ever, Molly declared solemnly. Later, after Carol had taken an exhausted but sugar-filled Molly back home, Emily and Liam found a quiet corner of the garden. The reception was winding down, the night air filled with the sounds of celebration and joy.
That was quite an entrance Molly made, but Liam said, still chuckling. She's your daughter, Emily pointed out. Dramatic timing is genetic. Fair point. Liam grew more serious, taking both of Emily's hands. Today watching Jennifer and Mark, listening to their vows, seeing how happy they are, it made me think about our future. Emily's heart began to race. Yeah? I know I said I wasn't going to propose yet, that I wanted to give us more time, but I've been carrying this around for weeks, waiting for the right moment. He pulled a small box from his pocket, and Emily's breath caught. And then watching you today, how you handled your family, how you were there for your sister, how you laughed when Molly crashed the party. I realized there's never going to be a perfect moment. Every moment with you is perfect. He opened the box to reveal a simple but beautiful ring, a single diamond on a silver band, elegant and understated and absolutely perfect. Emily Warren, you walked into my life through cruelty and stayed because of kindness. You've made me believe in love again. You've given Molly the mother she always deserved. You've made our house a home and our family complete. I love you more than I knew it was possible to love someone. Will you marry me? Emily was crying, shocking absolutely no one at this point, but they were tears of pure joy. Yes, she managed through the emotion. Yes, of course, yes. I love you. I love you and Molly so much. Liam slipped the ring onto her finger, and it fit perfectly, like it had always been meant to be there. They kissed as the garden lights twinkled around them and distant music played from the reception. Two people who'd been meant as a joke writing their own love story. Jennifer found them moments later, squealing when she saw the ring. Oh my God, you got engaged at my wedding? That's so tacky and I love it. She hugged them both fiercely. I'm so happy for you guys. This is perfect. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of congratulations and celebration. Even Margaret managed a stiff best wishes when she heard the news, though her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Emily found she didn't care. Her mother's approval or disapproval no longer had power over her happiness. Amanda and Jennifer both hugged her tight, genuinely happy for her. You're going to be a beautiful bride, Amanda said. And this time I'm going to be there for you, really there, not just physically present. Me too, Jennifer added. We've got years to make up for. Driving back to Maple Ridge the next day, Emily couldn't stop looking at her ring, couldn't stop smiling. Molly's going to lose her mind, Liam predicted. She's been asking when you were going to be her real mom for months. I'm already her real mom, Emily said. The ring just makes it official. About that, Liam said carefully. How would you feel about making it legally official too? After we're married, I'd like to look into you adopting Molly. Making you her legal parent, not just in our hearts, but on paper. Emily felt emotion swell in her chest. Really? You'd want that? She's your daughter as much as mine at this point, Liam said simply. And I want it recognized. Want her to have your name too if she wants it. Want the world to know what we already know, that you're her mother in every way that matters. Then yes, Emily whispered. I'd love that. I'd be honored. When they arrived home and told Molly the news, both about the engagement and the potential adoption, the 6-year-old's reaction was everything they'd hoped for. She screamed with joy, jumped up and down, demanded to see the ring approximately 40 times, and then insisted they needed to plan the wedding immediately. Can I be the flower girl? Can I wear a really sparkly dress? Can the cake be enormous? Will you be Emily Porter then? Will I call you Mom? Can we— Molly, breathe, Liam laughed. One question at a time. Yes to all of it, Emily said, pulling Molly into her lap. Yes, you can be the flower girl in the sparkliest dress we can find. Yes, the cake will be enormous because I'm making it, and I don't do small. Yes, I'll be Emily Porter, and yes, you can call me Mom if you want to. You can call me anything you want, as long as you know how much I love you. I want to call you Mom, Molly said decisively, because that's what you are. You're my mom who stayed. Emily held Molly close, this child who'd stolen her heart from the first moment, and felt the final piece of her life click into place. She was home. She was loved. She was exactly where she belonged. Over the following months, they planned a small wedding for late summer. Nothing elaborate, just close friends and family in Carol's backyard. Jennifer and Amanda both participated, genuinely supportive and involved. Even Emily's father made an effort, calling regularly to check in and ask about wedding plans. Margaret remained distant, still unable to fully embrace Emily's choices, but Emily found she could accept that now. Her mother's limitations were not Emily's responsibility to fix. The wedding day arrived warm and golden, the end of August painting everything in honeyed light. Emily wore a dress she actually loved, not trying to hide her body but celebrating it, ivory lace that made her feel beautiful and confident. Molly was her flower girl in the promised sparkly dress, taking her duties with solemn importance. Jennifer and Amanda stood as Emily's bridesmaids, both crying before the ceremony even started. Carol walked Emily down the aisle, a choice that felt right, giving that honor to the mother figure who'd shown her unconditional love rather than the one who'd struggled to do so. And Liam waited at the end of that aisle, tears streaming down his face, looking at Emily like she was everything he'd ever wanted. Their vows were simple but profound. Liam promised to see her, always, to choose her every day, to stand beside her against whatever challenges came. Emily promised to love him and Molly with her whole heart, to build a life full of joy and kindness, to be the partner and mother they deserved. When they were pronounced husband and wife and kissed to the applause of everyone they loved, Emily felt a sense of completion that went beyond the ceremony. This was what happiness looked like. Not perfection, but belonging. Not approval from people who couldn't give it, but chosen family who gave it freely. The reception was exactly what they'd wanted, casual and joyful, with the enormous 3-tier cake Emily had made herself becoming the centerpiece. Molly gave a toast that was supposed to be funny but made everyone cry instead. When Emily came to our house that first time, I knew she was special, Molly said seriously into the microphone, having learned from her previous wedding experience how to use it properly. She made me a unicorn cake with so many sparkles. She listens to all my stories even when they don't make sense. She helps me with homework and reads me stories and hugs me when I'm sad. And she makes my daddy smile in a way he didn't smile before. That's how you know someone's magic. They make everything better just by being there. Emily's magic, and now she's officially my mom, and I'm the luckiest girl in the world. There wasn't a dry eye in the backyard. Later, during the dancing, Jessica pulled Emily aside with a gift, a framed photo from that first day at Common Grounds. Someone had apparently taken a picture of Liam pulling out Emily's chair, of the moment that started everything. I tracked down the college student who was working that day, Jessica explained. She took this with her phone. Thought you'd want it, a reminder of where you started. Emily studied the photo through tears. She could see the fear in her own eyes, the uncertainty. Could see Liam's kindness and determination. Could see the exact moment that two people meant to be humiliated chose dignity instead. Thank you, Emily whispered, hugging her best friend. For everything. For being there when no one else was. Always, Jessica promised. That's what real family does. As the sun set and the party continued, Emily found herself standing with Liam at the edge of Carol's garden, watching Molly dance with her grandmother, both of them laughing. Can you believe we're here? Emily asked softly. That this is our life? Sometimes I still can't, Liam admitted, pulling her close.
I still remember that day at the cafe, how terrified you looked, how angry I was at Mason and Brent for their cruelty. I remember thinking I just wanted to get you through the next 5 minutes with your dignity intact. And now? Now I get to spend the rest of my life with you. Now we're a family, official and legal and permanent. Now I wake up every morning grateful that someone tried to make us a joke and accidentally gave me everything I'd ever wanted. Emily tilted her face up to kiss him, this man who'd seen past her body to her soul, who'd chosen kindness when the world expected cruelty, who'd given her not just his love, but his daughter and his future. I love you, she whispered against his lips. Thank you for staying that day. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for being worth seeing, Liam whispered back. Thank you for being brave enough to stay. Molly ran over then, grabbing both their hands. Come dance with me. This is my family, and I want to dance with all of you. They let themselves be pulled onto the makeshift dance floor, the three of them moving together under the string lights and emerging stars. Emily caught sight of Jennifer and Amanda watching with genuine smiles, of Carol wiping away happy tears, of all the people who'd gathered to celebrate love instead of mocking it. She thought about Brent and Mason, who tried to orchestrate humiliation and instead created the catalyst for something beautiful. Wondered if they'd learned anything, if they'd grown, if they understood the gift they'd accidentally given by bringing two people together. Probably not. Some people never learned, but their cruelty had been transformed into something they never intended, a love story, a family, a happily ever after. As night deepened and the celebration continued, Emily held tight to the two people who'd become her entire world. This was what the universe had meant for her all along, not the lonely resignation she'd accepted, but this abundance of love and joy and belonging. She'd walked into a cafe expecting the worst day of her life and found the beginning of her best life. She'd been served up as a punchline and became the hero of her own story. She'd been told she was unlovable and found a love so deep and true it redefined what she thought was possible. And somewhere, in some cosmic balance of justice, kindness had defeated cruelty. Love had triumphed over judgment. Two people who'd been meant to be broken had instead become whole. Together. The prank that was supposed to be the end became the most beautiful beginning. And they lived, as all the best stories promise, happily ever after. Not because everything was perfect, but because they'd chosen each other, fought for each other, and built a family founded on the radical act of seeing past surfaces to souls. In the end, that was the real magic. Not the grand gestures or the dramatic moments, but the daily choice to be kind, to be present, to love without conditions. And Emily Warren Porter, once the punchline, now the beloved wife and mother, understood that she'd always been worthy of that love. She just needed someone brave enough to see it, and she needed to become brave enough to believe it. That cafe in Maple Ridge, where cruelty had tried and failed to win, would always hold a special place in their story. Sometimes, on anniversaries or when they needed to remember, they'd go back. Sit at that same table, order cranberry scones and coffee, and they'd look at each other and remember. Not the pain of that day, but the courage. Not the humiliation that was intended, but the humanity that prevailed. Not the joke they were meant to be, but the love story they chose to write instead. Because sometimes the best revenge against cruelty isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's simply living well, loving deeply, and proving that kindness always, always wins in the end. And they did. They lived well. They loved deeply. And they proved every single day that the people who tried to make them small had failed spectacularly. Because you can't diminish what shines, and together they shone.